tech support, any kind of expert, online, real time, 24/7.
At the internet, we have artificial intelligence. Why do we need to pay for a service like this?
Well, for issues that are really important to you, accuracy is really important. What we found with all the different AIs out there is that on average, they're incorrect 37% of the time.
Studies about AI's accuracy rates vary, but aside from possible errors, there's also the rabbit hole of going down an internet black hole when you have a question. Just ask Carol Cameron. For the past decade, she says her subscription to Just Answer has helped her solve issues with her computer, car, and pet's health. Even walked her through how to repair the sidewalk in front of her home. So they taught you how to mix up some cement to repair your own walkway?
Yes,
How much money do you think this service has helped you save?
I would say probably $20,000 at least.
The service, which says it provides answers in just minutes, offers 13,000 experts in 150 categories, speaking 4 different languages. Customers can submit questions via email or request a phone call with an expert. Subscriptions range from $30 to $125 a month, depending on the category. Just Answer has a B+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, with most complaints centered around memberships. The company says consumers can cancel at any time. For people with expertise to share, Just Answer is also a popular side hustle. Retired contractor Todd Tripp now works as one of its experts.
I've been answering questions on everything in home improvement that you can think of.
He says he's paid $27,000 so far this year, answering questions for just a few hours a day, even while traveling. But more than the money, he says it's the purpose he feels helping people. His proudest moment came recently during Hurricane Milton, when he helped a Florida couple turn off their pool valve to prevent it from overflowing.
Well, they were pretty frantic because the water was starting to come into their house. He was able to go out and find that valve and open it. And just as they kind of said yes, the phone went dead.
Did you ever hear back from them?
You know, I've texted them back twice, and they said everything's great, we're fine, all is good.
For Just Answer tech expert and mom, Pat Sandlin, the flexibility of working from home turned this side hustle into her full-time job.
I do like to pick up calls during 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. because my house is quiet. My son is at school.
She says she earns nearly $60,000 a year working 8-hour days, and also has had time to get additional schooling to boost her expertise.
It allowed me to go back to college 3 times, and I've been able to use every one of those degrees to make even more earnings.
For customers like Carol, the access to answers has been a lifesaver and worth the investment.
For my money, I've done very well with their advice.
All right, thanks to Vicki Wynn for that report. Just a heads up, becoming an expert on Just Answer isn't easy. The CEO says they hire only about 5% of those who apply. He says experts go through background checks and must be currently licensed in their fields. All right, let's get to some more money headlines. President Trump is pressing pause on enforcing the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act. CNBC's Savannah now joins us now with that and other news. Good morning, Savannah.
Hey, Christine. Hey, Savannah. Good morning to you. So you have President Trump signing an executive order directing the Justice Department to pause the prosecution of Americans accused of bribing foreign government officials to try to win their business. The order halting enforcement of the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, which was enacted in 1977. It's become the guide for how U.S. companies operate overseas. The president says the law makes American businesses less competitive. He's directing Attorney General Pam Bondi to create new guidelines. Lyft aims to launch a fleet of robo-taxis next year, starting in Dallas, with plans to scale up to thousands of vehicles in other markets. Lyft is working with Intel's Mobileye unit on the self-driving technology, and the announcement comes after Uber offered new details on its plan to use Waymo robo-taxis on its platform in Austin and Atlanta later this year. And Ben & Jerry's is launching 4 new sundae flavors inspired by its scoop shops. Each pint comes in 3 parts: a swirled ice cream base, a whipped topping, and a flavorful crunch. And the new flavors are Cookie Vermonster, Dulce Delish, Chocolata Cheesecake, and Turtle Sundae. And you can find them at retailers nationwide for $4.99 to $6.49 each.
That looks so, I am hungry. That
You
was
always
right.
do this to us.
Oh my
The
God, I'm
CNBC Money
sorry.
Minute
I
always
make
turns
myself
into
hungry
the
too.
Let's go eat that now minute.
Savannah, thank you. All right, a recently discovered asteroid is making space agencies, including NASA, sit up and take some notice.
Yeah, it's called 2024 YR4. It's between about 150
and 300 feet wide, and it's the most hazardous space rock detected in more than 20 years. Right now, it has slightly more than a 2% chance, brace yourself, of hitting the Earth in 2032, although those estimates have been changing.
I think they've been changing and getting a little bit more
Yeah, they-
likely along the way.
Which is maybe why we're warning you
That's
now,
why we're doing it now.
8
It's
years
not
in advance.
And space scientist Dr. Emily Rice joins us now with more on this. Good morning. Okay,
Good
so
morning.
it might happen, maybe not. Probably not, but it might. So why is this something that we should be looking at here?
Well, NASA is always watching the skies, luckily, and this one is an interesting one. So this asteroid only discovered in December of last year, just past its closest approach to Earth. So right now is a good time to track it. And from the observations that we have so far, figuring out how big it is, tracking its orbit, determining exactly where it's going to go in the future, it does have a 1 to 2% chance of impacting the Earth. But that's still it's in flux. This asteroid is going to be observable until April of this year. And again, this potential impact is not going to happen until 2032.
Documents
And
and
NASA
so then
and
I
other
said
state
down
agencies will be
then
tracking
I
it
said
from now
our
until
mouth
then
is
as
in
much
me.
as possible
Then
in
I
order
said
to find that
I'm here
orbit
and
and
it's
really get a much better understanding of that percentage, which, as experts have said, is more likely than not to go down instead of up.
Okay, well, I mean, millions of people buy lottery tickets for way less odds than
Yeah,
that.
okay, I like that. I was just gonna say, okay, so we don't need to panic. Why are scientists paying such close attention if the likelihood of impact is so low?
This is so we always pay attention to things like this, especially the bigger ones, and this is on the larger side. When we find them, when we know that their orbits are potentially impacting Earth, then we pay attention. This one is it's new. It was only discovered only a few months ago, and so these, like, each observation is going to significantly refine our understanding of its orbit and really tell us how worried we need to be in the future.
I mean, I'm thinking space lasers. I don't know. NASA and some other international space agencies, they've been working to develop what they call anti-asteroid defenses. And NASA sent an unmanned spacecraft in 2022, I think, right? It's crashing into an asteroid to try to change the course. So was that
Yes, and that
successful?
was a very, very successful mission.
Okay, so
Okay.
we have tools in our toolbox.
Yes, absolutely. So that was the NASA's DART mission for double asteroid, because it was a binary asteroid.
yes, they ain't no whore.
It was an
Mm,
impactor.
I'm
It
hearing
was
this shit.
very, very slightly.
Just ain't none of this.
Before
About
that
our being
impact,
sensitive
but
for
it
hearing
changed the
this
orbit
back
of
then.
that
Say
asteroid to
if
get
we
physical
crazy. So
impact.
then I said
And it
that.
worked. It worked.
I didn't call
Say
nobody a
giant
whore.
slingshot
Yes,
in
you
space.
did. No.
Yeah.
She know that we are the ones trying to make it seem like Drake is our baby daddy. Then I said that. Because I'm hearing this back then. Saying if we retarded. Then I said that.
Running into it?
Don't you people know this back
Yeah,
then.
so not
Do
all
we
of the
sound that?
defenses
Don't
are
you
as
people know this
exciting
shit?
as a NASA mission like that. A lot of the defenses are just infrastructure. So our continued observations of this object with as many telescopes as possible, but these are small telescopes that can observe this asteroid. They're also ground-based facilities. This is just kind of standard, but improving NASA technology and infrastructure that we need to maintain. We need to continue funding. We need to continue having the people and the expertise to develop these. And so NASA is not immune from all of the political upheaval that's happened in the last couple of weeks. And this is one of the things that could be affected.
Oh, this is why you need eyes on the sky, you're saying.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, Dr. Emily Rice, thank you so much.
Yeah, fascinating, freaky, but fascinating.
Chance. Coming up, saddle up, Beyonce fans, because your first shot at tickets for her highly anticipated Cowboy Carter tour comes today.
The Beehive, though, are buzzing this morning over the possibility of another Ticketmaster meltdown when they go on sale in just a few hours. We'll dig into the hype up next.
News lives in the now.
All of that snow fell in a matter of days.
Food and medicine, this time being dropped over southern Gaza.
It looks like hot lava.
News for the generation of now. It's NBC News Now. Hosts Meet the Press every Sunday on NBC. Top story live from Pacific Palisades, live in Tel Aviv, 5 to 9 from New Orleans every weeknight. It's your news playlist. Top story with Tom Youngs, streaming weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now. NBC News Daily is #1 for afternoon news across all of television.
I'm Morgan Radford.
I'm Vicki Lynn.
I'm Kate Snow.
And I'm Sinclair Simwa.
What's happening around the world
Israel's military is building up there along the border.
and what matters here at home.
New numbers are out today showing more encouraging signs for our economy.
Let's zero in on exercise. We know we're supposed to be doing it. What does it do for our health?
What needs to change for social media to be a safer place?
NBC News Daily, weekdays from 12 to 4 on NBC News Now.
Top story live from the Pacific Palisades, live in Tel Aviv, 5 to 9 from New Orleans every weeknight. It's your news playlist. Top story with Tom Giannis, streaming weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Hey there, I'm Hallie, and we are coming on the air tonight with new development.
What's up? What do we know about these chemicals? And should we be super concerned about it or what?
Economic policy and what the election means for it. Break it down in English. What this means for people's money.
Lester Holt, America's most trusted TV news anchor.
More Americans turn to NBC News than any other news organization.
Closer to the Gaza border. The story of resilience and hope. Please take care of yourself and each other.
We are back, and so are some of Saturday Night Live's most famous alumni for the show's 50th anniversary. In its latest teaser, SNL announced 23 former cast members are coming back to Studio 8H this weekend. Here's some of the names on your screen. This is for the 3-hour live anniversary special. So Eddie Murphy, Amy Poehler, Jimmy Fallon, Molly Shannon, Kristen Wiig, Will Ferrell. Look at your screen right now. Kate McKinnon, Jane Curtin, Seth Meyers. Amazing. Some very special celebrity guests will also join them. That's also now on your screen. Bad Bunny, Tom Hanks, Adam Driver, Peyton Manning, Robert De Niro, Steve Martin. I mean, this list is just totally crazy. SNL 50 airs live this Sunday. Yes, it's on Sunday, not Saturday. That's at 8 p.m.
One of the cool things about working in this building is that, like, these halls, great people.
Yeah,
have worked in
you
these
ran
halls.
there in the elevator and you're like, whoa, yeah, there, Will Ferrell. All right, attention Beyonce fans, it's time to gear up and ride as the first wave of pre-sale tickets for the highly anticipated Cowboy Carter tour drops today. And the Beehive, swarming with excitement, of course, as the 35-time Grammy winner returns to the stage. NBC News correspondent Liz Kreutz joins us now with more. Liz, good morning. Oh, is there going to be a scramble? A scramble on.
I know.
How can it not be, right, guys? As of right now, though, Beyonce's Cowboy Carter tour is scheduled to kick off right here in LA this April. But yeah, before fans can put on their cowboy boots and hats to see the show inspired by the Grammy's Best Country Album of the Year, they'll first have to get their hands on a ticket.
The Beehive's ready to get their giddy up on this morning. This is not a tour. As Beyonce prepares to get back in the saddle on stage for the Cowboy Carter and the Rodeo Chitlin Circuit Tour. 16 couches. The first round of pre-sale tickets goes on sale today. The codes are out for the Beehive pre-sale. And the 35-time Grammy winners faithful are ready to pony up.
The way pre-sales run nowadays, it can be kind of nerve-wracking, but I cannot wait. I love Beyonce.
Beyonce already giving more fans a chance to secure a seat, adding 5 additional shows to her 9-city schedule on Monday. But there's still plenty of nerves. I'm stressed, but I'm not worried. Okay? With some concert hopefuls weary of a Ticketmaster meltdown. They're not getting tickets. Similar to when unprecedented demand crashed the site during Taylor Swift's Eras Tour meltdown in 2022, with some Swifties unable to get tickets. It's the superstar's first tour since the blockbuster Renaissance run. And an important moment for fans, the culmination of Beyonce's transition into country music with Cowboy Carter, which became her 8th #1 album and racked up accolades over the past year.
And you can definitely tell that there's a lot of passion in this. It's not just about music.
Including a massive showcase. Her Christmas Day Beyonce will NFL halftime performance on Netflix, where she first teased the tour, the final announcement after an incredible night at the Grammys earlier this month. Cowboy Carter, where Beyonce won 3 Grammys, including Album of the Year, and became the first Black woman to ever win Best Country Album.
I think sometimes genre is a cold word to keep us in our place as artists. And I just want to encourage people to do what they're passionate about.
And the Beehive is certainly passionate to hear Cowboy Carter live. Oh my God, Aubrey, be my favorite. But as they buzz with anticipation,
I feel good that I'm gonna have good seats and I'm gonna get tickets.
they'll have to wait until April when the tour kicks off in Los Angeles.
Now with Beyonce, we can never know for sure everything she has up her sleeves. She always, goes big.
Okay, so set your alarms. Pre-sale tickets go on sale at 12 p.m. Eastern today. Ticketmaster's advice, sign into your account ahead of time and make sure your correct billing information is in there to prevent any delays. Right now, dates have been released for 8 of the 9 cities, including New Jersey near you guys, Atlanta, Houston, and even Paris. The big mystery, though, guys, is Las Vegas. The poster says she is going there, but no dates or venue have been announced yet.
Oh, that sounds like the start of some theories about what she might announce or something.
Can you imagine
Right.
like the Sphere? Like,
I know.
like a residency at the Sphere?
Right.
Yes.
That would be
I
cool.
still want to see that in real life.
Oh, it's good.
It's
yeah.
really, yeah, it's
Totally.
crazy.
Liz,
Liz,
thank you.
fun one, thanks. We saw you too at the Sphere. It was really
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It was really
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, that does it for this hour of Morning News Now. Don't go anywhere though, the news continues right now. Hi everyone and welcome. I'm Morgan Radford. My co-anchor Vicky is on assignment and NBC News Daily starts right now. Today is Tuesday, February 11th, second peak. The flu is surging to high levels nationwide, but why this strain is quickly spreading amongst kids and what you can do to stay safe. Plus, building resistance. Children with a mild peanut sensitivity might actually be able to overcome their allergy through exposure. We're going to take a deep look at the new research trial that could be a game changer for those with that sensitivity. Sticker shock between new tariffs and food shortages, daily expenses, they are only getting pricier. So we've got tips to help you focus your budget and find a few convenient ways to save. Texas Hold'em Beyonce super fans are flocking to Ticketmaster today for pre-sale tickets for the upcoming Cowboy Carter album tour, where the star is adding concert stops and when general admission tickets are expected to finally drop. Thanks so much for joining and welcome to NBC News Daily, where we start right now with a concerning and deadly late season flu surge sweeping across the country. The CDC is reporting 24 million illnesses, with 43 states and Washington, D.C. reporting high or very high levels of flu activity. The virus is spreading quickly in closed spaces. We're talking offices, classrooms. In fact, cases are soaring among kids. According to the latest national data, the total number of pediatric flu deaths hit 57 as of Friday. Some cities and towns are closing schools just as a precaution, and patients are also flooding hospitals, driving doctor visits to a 15-year high. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa joins us now from Chicago. Maggie, look, Chicago health officials say that only a quarter of people in that city are actually vaccinated against the flu. So how is this sort of driving the spread of the virus in that area? And even sort of when you look beyond Chicago, what's it looking like in the rest of the country?
Totally, Morgan, more broadly, experts say this is absolutely driving this surge in the flu nationwide. In fact, we had experts predicting this back in November and December, saying specifically pediatric vaccination rates in the last 5 years have fallen roughly 14% across the country. And they were saying once we finally hit our peak, which it happens every year at some point in the flu season, and this one's a bit late, they were worried it was going to be exceptionally bad. And you're right, we're seeing it in pockets across the country. Chicago has really low vaccination rates, as you point out. And doctors here say basically they're having to have this kind of exhausting conversation with parents and with people over and over, just urging them to get that flu shot as they see these numbers rise. Here's what one told us.
You can totally understand people are a little vaccination fatigue or mask fatigue after the past 5 years, but it's something that occurs every year. It's a serious infection. It can lead to fatalities or really bad complications.
And they stress the flu shot, even if you get the flu after getting the shot, it can keep you out of the hospital. So they really want people to get that vaccination. And Morgan, it's effective within a week. So it's definitely not too late, Dr. Sen.
You know, it's interesting because one of the sort of unseen effect is the way that the spike is also putting a strain on pharmacies. So what do people need to know about flu treatment and even just preventative protection?
Yeah, we've been seeing these headlines kind of pop up across the country. This is also sporadic and really localized, so check with your local pharmacy. But they're running out of things like Tamiflu and common treatments for the flu. So to protect yourself from the virus, keep yourself out of this situation, they say again, get the flu shot, wipe down surfaces, wash hands frequently, stay home if you're sick, keep your kids home if they're sick until you go 24 hours fever-free without medication. That last caveat, they say,
is key. But yeah, again, we're seeing in doctors' offices, school districts closing down, hospitals overrun, and now pharmacies seeing a shortage of those drugs. That's how exceptionally bad this season is, Morgan. All right, Maggie Vesperforce there. Maggie, thank you. Well, right now, President Trump is about to meet with the King and Crown Prince of Jordan about the future of Gaza. The king just arrived moments ago, and this meeting comes after Trump issued an ultimatum to Hamas, demanding the release of all hostages by this coming Saturday, or else he says the ceasefire with Israel should be canceled.
As far as I'm concerned, if all of the hostages aren't returned by Saturday at 12 o'clock, I think it's an appropriate time. I would say cancel it and all bets are off and let hell break out.
Well, that's not it. President Trump is also suggesting that he might withhold aid from Jordan and from Egypt if they refuse to take in Palestinian refugees displaced from the Gaza Strip. NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist is live in Washington, D.C. Aaron, look, there's obviously a deep history here of Palestinian refugees being displaced generations ago and going to places like Jordan. So when you consider what's happening there, how is Israel, how is Hamas responding now to President Trump's ultimatum?
Well, that ultimatum, the president did go on last night, Morgan, to say that he believes that it is up to Israel to ultimately decide whether there will be this all hell breaking loose, as he referenced in his remarks there. And so what we've heard today, our team in the Middle East has been able to talk to a spokesperson for Hamas who essentially said that President Trump should stop making threats and to try to enforce the deal under the terms that his team, along with former President Biden's team and other players in the Middle East, came to agree on in the first place. That's the position of Hamas at this point. The Israelis so far have not really given an official response to what President Trump said last night. We do know that the Israeli Security Cabinet under Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is meeting, we believe right now, one, to talk about the position that Hamas has taken to pause the release of additional hostages on Saturday, and now also obviously to have to talk about, Morgan, what the president said in his remarks last night.
Speaking of those remarks, I mean, what is his latest plan for Gaza? He's been publicly talking about plans to basically develop it. I mean, what specifically is he asking Jordan to do?
So at this point, there hasn't been a direct ask, a specific ask to Jordan. The president has said in some of his remarks that he would like to see Egypt and Jordan take in Palestinians as the Gaza Strip is redeveloped. He said that he wanted to own the Gaza Strip and redevelop it, and he believed that Palestinians would not go back to that territory. That is something that we've heard Arab nations categorically say they do not want to see happen. And so, as this meeting is just getting underway, we understand the Jordanian king arrived just a few minutes ago, about a half an hour late to the White House. This is likely going to be a part of the conversation. And Morgan, I think it's worth noting that when President Trump met with other world leaders last week, he met with the Israeli prime minister, the Japanese prime minister. There were news conferences that came after those meetings. There is not one scheduled after this meeting with the Jordanians.
Really interesting note there. Aaron Gilchrist joining us from his post there in DC. We appreciate it, Aaron. Meanwhile, the NTSB is investigating yet another deadly plane collision, this one involving two private jets in Arizona. This is just the latest in a string of aviation disasters in recent weeks. Just take a look at this surveillance video near Scottsdale Airport. The Learjet was arriving from Texas yesterday afternoon when it veered off that runway. Look at that red circle there. All right, crashing into a larger jet that was parked nearby. One person died, 4 others were injured. We also have learned that one of the planes was owned by Motley Crue frontman Vince Neil. His representatives say he was not on board at the time of the accident. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin joins us now from Scottsdale, Arizona. Dana, look, I think the country is just shocked that we're even hearing about another incident like this in terms of aviation. I mean, what is the latest in this particular investigation, and have authorities been able to say what happened?
You know, Morgan, I think you're so right. This kind of invokes that panic that a lot of people feel because it's been 2 weeks and we've had several deadly aviation incidents. Hey, officials say that air travel is still safe. In this particular case, we've heard from the fire department. They said that it was a landing gear malfunction, and we actually saw part of that landing gear on the runway. I'm going to step out just so you can see part of the plane crash behind us. It's way in the distance, and we'll try to zoom in as close as we can. On the right is that larger Gulfstream plane that was parked, and to the left, that's the Motley, that's Vince Neil's plane that's got some flame design on the outside of the plane. It looks like it is split in half. That's just how hard of a landing this was. We know that 4 people were on that plane, according to Motley Crue. That's because they put out an Instagram post. They said that Neil's girlfriend, Ray, her friend, plus 2 pilots were on board the plane. Investigators have not said exactly who was on the plane, and they have not revealed who the person was that was killed. Morgan?
All right, Dana Griffin for us there on the ground in Scottsdale, Arizona. We're hearing all that plane activity happening in the background there. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. It's time now for our CNBC Money Minute. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is firing back at Elon Musk's bid for control of the nonprofit that oversees the artificial intelligence startup. Now, Musk put forward a more than $97 billion proposal. CNBC Tech Check co-anchor Deirdre Bosa joins me now with more. Deirdre, how is Altman responding to this, and what are we hearing from Musk's team just on this offer?
Hey, Morgan, this is certainly a billionaire brawl. So at the AI Action Summit in Paris today, Sam Altman told CNBC that Musk is trying to slow down a competitor while he tries to catch up with his own company, xAI, which is behind the chatbot Grok. When asked how seriously he was taking the bid, Altman said, not particularly. When he made the offer on Monday, Elon Musk's lawyer added it was time OpenAI returned to its open source roots. Musk's team has yet to respond to Altman's latest comments. And a record 126 million people watched the Eagles beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, according to preliminary numbers from Fox and Nielsen. Fox's broadcast drew an average of 111 million viewers, and it also got a boost from those who watched on Tubi, its free streaming service, which drew in more than 13 million. Meanwhile, another 800,000 watched on the NFL's digital platforms. This is the 3rd straight game to set a record, even if it wasn't a particularly close one, Morgan.
And I know they also confirmed that parade will be Friday. Did you watch either the Super Bowl or the halftime performance, Deirdre?
I watched the halftime and most of the Super Bowl.
Did you have a favorite commercial?
Ooh, you know, the Gemini one made me tear up.
You were going to say
the
that.
Google Gemini one.
I felt like I called that. I felt like I called it right before you said it. Deirdre Bosa, as always, we so appreciate you. Thanks. Well, listen, coming up, an alternative approach, how one primary care physician in Louisiana is now making medical care affordable for those who do not yet have insurance. Stay right here. You're watching NBC News Daily.
If you take or have taken Humira for moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis and still have symptoms, you don't have to settle. Ask your gastroenterologist if switching to Rinvoq is right for you. It's one of the latest treatments from the makers of Humira. Rinvoq works differently than Humira and may help. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can deliver rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission, and helps visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal, cancers including lymphoma and skin. Serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events: infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant, or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Rapid symptom relief and lasting steroid-free remission are possible with Rinvoq. Ask your gastroenterologist if switching to Rinvoq is right for you. You could pay as little as $0 per month.
News lives in the now.
All of that snow fell in a narrative.
Food is medicine. This time being brought over Southern Gaza.
It looks like hot water.
News for the generation of now. It's NBC News Now.
Inside Iran from Israel. From Tampa, Hurricane Milton is here. Where we're standing right now is covered in water. We're continuing reporting. Thanks for talking to me.
Is it your plan to deport everyone who is here illegally over the next 4 years?
Who do you think is the leader of the Democratic Party right now? Can you guarantee that grocery prices will in fact come down? If it's Sunday, it's Meet the Press. A new research trial shows that children with mild peanut allergies may be able to overcome their sensitivity by slowly increasing the amount of store-bought peanut butter that they eat over time. Researchers say this 18-month-long study, which was just published by the New England Journal of Medicine, was very successful and really could be a game changer for children and for families. Joining us now for more is NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel. Dr. Patel, the researchers are calling this study immunotherapy. So how exactly did it work? What did they look at?
Yeah, Morgan. So they basically took a group of children, split them in half, randomly assigned half to doing what we call immunotherapy, but I'm going to break it down. It means just giving them a little bit of peanut exposure in the form of peanut butter about every 8 weeks and kind of increasing doses over time to see if their body could kind of get a tolerance and instead of being allergic to peanut butter, be able to tolerate peanuts. And then the other half was just avoidance, which is what 1 to 2% of children do right now, Morgan. 1 to 2% of kids have peanut allergies, and they deal with it just by avoiding it.
I mean, but would you recommend to families who suspect their kids may have a peanut allergy, they just sort of give them the peanut? Is there a way to sort of test this out at home safely, I guess?
So one thing that's important to note, and it can be real tempting to try this at home because what's the harm of giving a little bit of peanut butter? There can be harm. So it should be said, this is all done in the monitoring of an allergist's office, especially when they would step up the doses. So in order to qualify for the trial, Morgan, you had to be able to at least eat half of a peanut without having a significant reaction. So I think that if you at least can talk with your allergist about whether or not you might be appropriate to start this, it is a solution for many kids and many families out there who really are unfortunately living in fear of being exposed to peanut.
It's interesting you mentioned half of a peanut, because I guess my question is, why did the trial focus on peanut butter as the starting point? Why not just use a peanut or even a candy bar like a Snickers?
Yeah, great question. So a couple of things. First of all, most people, in terms of thinking about how to increase the dose, peanut butter is the most common exposure, and it's often standardized. The way like peanut butter, yes, you can have different kinds of peanut butter additives, sugar, etc. But peanut butter as a standard is easy to kind of just measure in terms of like teaspoon. Remember, this was being done in a doctor's setting. So when you would increase the dose, you would kind of show it to the doctor and do it in front of them. You would make sure they didn't have a reaction. And then you could continue to provide that dosing to your child. But what peanut butter does is just levels it all out, because some peanuts are large, some peanuts are small. Peanut butter is a bit of a standard measurement that you can use, and it's easy to integrate. You can just give it to your kid in the form of something else, put it in some bread, give it to them in some applesauce. They might not even realize it, that they don't taste it necessarily.
Dr. Kavita Patel, thank you so much, as always. We appreciate your time and, of course, your expertise. Well, listen, speaking of doctors, imagine going to one with no copays, unlimited free visits, and no hidden fees. There is one primary care physician in Louisiana who's doing just that. He's opened a practice that he says focuses solely on patient care without the need for traditional health insurance. Alexandra Meacham from our NBC affiliate KTAL has more on how all of this works.
The methods and morality of insurance companies in America is under public scrutiny. What if there was a different way to approach care and afford it?
It was completely different than how the traditional medicine is. You kind of come into this office and you sit and you're the only one, and you're not in a waiting room for hours, and you genuinely cared.
Megan Chavez is a Shreveport small business owner who shopped around for health insurance options but encountered outrageous prices.
Comparable prices were $1,500 a month and some crazy $20,000 plus deductible.
A financial situation many business owners face.
It's paid its money back, weight in gold.
They found an alternative, Mira Direct Primary Care in Bossier City.
I was in traditional practice and I was seeing 30 patients a day, and we were just shuffling patients in and out.
Owned and operated by Dr. Todd Flowers, who gives his patients his cell number so he's available 24 hours a day for anything they may need.
He has a wonderful team of nurses, very friendly.
Take a big deep breath in and out for me.
Dr. Flowers is a primary care physician who offers all the services of a regular clinic, but instead of taking insurance, he offers a monthly subscription of $130. That includes unlimited free visits, no copays, or hidden fees that sometimes appear with insurance billing.
The transparency of, I know exactly how much this is going to cost. I'm not going to have to pay a copay.
Dr. Flowers also has an in-house pharmacy.
And I'm able to purchase medications at wholesale prices, and then I just pass that savings on to the patients.
We first met Dr. Flowers when he opened his practice in 2018. Since then, more practices have opened for people who could not afford traditional insurance or were just tired of the system.
If they fill their practice tomorrow, that's good for me because the biggest barrier to entry is just patient education. Patients don't know about what we do and how we do it.
As a family medical doctor, he treats patients from birth to death. He has even been at the bedside of patients when they take their last breath.
There's no way, if I was not able to do this type of medicine, I would find something else to do.
Very cool, and hopefully a new model there. Thanks, Alexandra Meacham, for that report. We'll stay right here because later on this hour, Los Angeles is grappling with the toxic debris left over from those recent wildfires. Why temporary hazardous waste is now sparking outrage. You're watching Daily.
Despite being on an antidepressant, I was still masking my depression symptoms.
My doctor said it could be because my antidepressant alone wasn't enough, so she recommended an add-on treatment. She recommended adding Rexulti.
When taken with an antidepressant, Rexulti was proven to significantly reduce depression symptoms, more than an antidepressant alone.
So with my antidepressant, Rexulti could provide a boost.
Elderly people with dementia-related psychosis have increased risk of death or stroke. Antidepressants may increase suicidal thoughts and actions and worsen depression in children and young adults. Call your healthcare provider right away to report new or sudden changes in mood, behavior, thoughts, or feelings, or if you develop suicidal thoughts or actions. Report fever, stiff muscles, and confusion, which can be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar can lead to coma or death. Weight gain, increased cholesterol, unusual urges, dizziness on standing, falls, seizures, trouble swallowing, or sleepiness may occur.
Could adding Rexulti
be right for you?
Ask your doctor about adding Rexulti.
has the IQ of a human genius.
Hey, Richard. Got your phone.
Did you say my name?
Yes, I said your name because I'm a genius. Were you not paying attention now?
Get my phone back?
Want to know what else is genius? Finding the right credit card with Nerd Wallet. They do the research so you don't have to. Pretty cool, huh?
Wait, you use credit cards?
You don't, Richard. But you do. Nerds!
Your new home deserves Xfinity.
And this.
I like the snowflakes.
Also do taxidermy.
Wow.
Moving is a great time to level up your internet. Switch to Xfinity and get the best in-home Wi-Fi. Bring on the good stuff.
With Amazon Photos, Prime members get unlimited full-resolution photo storage and 5 gigabytes of video storage, so you can securely store your digital photos and use your pictures to create prints, books, and custom decor. You can also share and display your photos on Amazon devices, including the Echo Show and Fire TV. To get started, download the Amazon Photos app.
Questions that you hear the most when it comes to staying safe online. These weight loss drugs, are we concerned about long-term side effects?
A lot going on in space right now. Make no mistake, this mission is high stakes. Morning News Now, streaming weekdays at 7.
So I'm not sure if you've tried one, but for a lot of people, these new ancestry kits, they help people connect with distant relatives and really uncover their family history. But they can also be used to help solve decades-old cold cases. Marissa Burke with our Kentucky affiliate Wave introduces us to families whose kids are now part of an investigation dating back to the 60s.
Typically, a death certificate would tell you basic information about a person, but this man's life took an unusual twist. He was buried in the small town of North Platte, Nebraska 6 decades ago, with a grave marker that reads, Unknown Negro.
I've driven by that cemetery probably thousands of times in my career, and quite honestly, never even noticed it, to be honest with you. But every single day, when I come to the office and when I leave to go home, as I drive by it, obviously I think of the case.
I've been working with Sergeant Larry Myers from the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office for a few years to try and figure out where he's from. The death certificate says he was crushed under 2,500 pounds of ice in a refrigerated train car traveling to North Platte, Nebraska on November 1st, 1961, meaning he could be from anywhere. Finding this man's identity would need a different approach.
And we help law enforcement agencies, medical examiners, and coroners when they have unidentified human remains cases.
Jennifer Randolph works for the DNA Doe Project. They use DNA profiles and genealogical research to identify Jane and John Does. It starts when people take a test, like 23andMe or Family Tree DNA, and upload their information to sites like GEDmatch. Organizations like the DNA Doe Project can use that information and build out family trees of unidentified people. In the case of this unknown man, trying to find family members became a challenge of its own.
So he doesn't have a lot of people who are really closely related to him. And that's not uncommon when the Doe that we're trying to identify is an African American.
People of color are underrepresented in the DNA databases. Many are skeptical and fear that someone will misuse their genetic information, so they don't even try. Then there are people like Chris Taylor, who believe the risk is worth it.
I went through Ancestry at first and then uploaded to other sites and then went international, and I didn't make it private because I wanted it to be out there because you never know what can come your way.
Chris's curiosity helped our investigation. He's a distant relative to the unknown Negro on his mother's side.
Well, everybody's body is full of history and knowledge.
Right.
Chris shares the same sentiments as Angela Dennis and Dora Gaither. They've been using ancestry sites to fill in the gaps in their family tree. Many African Americans have missing parts because of slavery, poor record keeping, and unexplainable circumstances.
Because my father has a brother that they don't know what happened to him. He was a boxer, and he never came back home.
Unfortunately, we couldn't give Dora answers about her uncle, but their DNA profile found they're related to the unknown Negro on his father's side.
We were so, especially the nieces and stuff that do the genealogy thing, the ancestry thing, because we get to my mother and it stops. You know, absolutely nothing. So they said, oh, wow, maybe we'll find something.
The best way to untangle these family trees was by bringing everyone together. They all live in California. On the death certificate, it says the train the unknown man was found on started in Roseville, California. When I looked into California newspaper articles, I found another clue. Fatal icing done here. The article outlines details we already knew, but then it tells us when he was found, he had a pack of cigarettes with a California tax stamp and $1 in cash. So I had to tell Sergeant Myers that we were on the right track.
Somebody cared enough to get that information back to California and in print. So I think we have a great opportunity to carry on, I think, what was honestly started back on November 1st, 1961.
In the meantime, while we continue searching for potential leads, members of the unknown Negro's newly gained family say this is far from over.
I feel like I don't want my life to end without knowing who he is and who had him and who his parents were, if he has kids, you know. I mean, there's too many possibilities.
For NBC News Daily, I'm Marissa Berg.
What an interesting story. Thanks, Marissa. Stay here. You're watching NBC News Daily.
From inside Iran, Israel, from Tampa, Hurricane Milton is here. Where we're standing right now is covered in water. We're continuing reporting. Thanks for talking to me.
More Americans turn to NBC News than any other news organization.
Welcome back, and thanks again for joining us. Where it is 12:30 in Philadelphia and right here in New York City. I'm Morgan Radford. At least 53 people were killed after a bus crashed in Guatemala City yesterday. Now, according to government officials, the bus was crossing a bridge when it collided with at least 2 other vehicles and fell into a ravine. Officials are still investigating that incident and expect the number of victims will rise. Meanwhile, Google has officially adopted the Gulf of America on its maps after President Trump's executive order changing the name from the Gulf of Mexico. Now, Google Maps users in the United States will see Gulf of America, while people in Mexico will continue to see the original name. Users in other parts of the world will see both names. The trial for the man accused of trying to kill novelist Salman Rushdie continues today. He's facing attempted murder and assault charges after allegedly rushing the stage while Rushdie was delivering a lecture and then repeatedly stabbing him, leaving him blind in one eye. Rushdie is expected to testify, and the alleged attacker pleaded not guilty and now faces up to 32 years in prison if, in fact, he is convicted by the jury. Just minutes ago, we heard from New York City Mayor Eric Adams after the Justice Department ordered federal prosecutors to drop corruption charges against him. Take a listen to this.
As I said from the outset, I never broke the law, and I never would. I would never put any personal benefit above my solemn responsibility as your mayor. So I thank the Justice Department for its honesty. Now, we can put this cruel episode behind us.
Prosecutors had accused Adams of taking $100,000 worth of luxury hotel stays and free plane tickets from wealthy Turkish nationals and at least one government official in an alleged scheme that spanned nearly a decade. Adams has denied all of those charges. NBC News Justice and Intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian joins me now. Ken, this is interesting because I think it's raising a lot of questions about precedent. It's raising questions about what sort of examples this sets for future cases and prosecutors who go after criminal cases like this. So why is the DOJ doing this now? I mean, what is the reasoning behind the timing?
Morgan, the Justice Department is saying that they're not doing this because of any questions about the facts and the law and the legal theories behind this corruption case against the New York mayor. Instead, what they're saying is they have a number of concerns about the way the case was brought. They believe that the U.S. attorney at the time, who was a Biden appointee, used the case, in their words, to burnish his own image. There's no evidence of that, by the way. They're saying that the timing of the upcoming trial, which would take place during the New York mayoral primary season, is a problem under DOJ's policy not to influence elections. Important to note, though, that this case was brought 9 months ago. And once a case is brought, generally, it proceeds despite that policy. So really, the big concern here among DOJ current and former officials I'm talking to is here you have the political leadership of the Justice Department coming in and ordering line prosecutors to drop a case that they believe is a strong public corruption case. And the reasons are really unclear. But one thing we do know is that Eric Adams has been trying to curry favor with Donald Trump even before he was elected and certainly since he's been elected. Morgan.
Yeah, no, we saw those, but what's interesting is that explain to our viewers what this means when this happens without prejudice. I mean, can these charges be brought again? What happens next? Is he officially in the clear?
That's the other interesting thing. Well, first of all, the charges have not yet been dismissed. No one at the Southern District has agreed to dismiss them and has not filed that yet. So that's number one. The other thing, though, is your point about they've been dismissed without prejudice, meaning the charges can be refiled at any time. And that sort of leaves a lot of leverage that the Trump administration now has over the mayor of New York. The facts haven't changed. He knows that they could refile this case after the primary election, for example. And it really raises questions about the influence now that they have over Eric Adams, the New York mayor.
And the politicization of cases and charges like this, for sure. Ken Delanian there. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, wildfire recovery efforts are continuing across Los Angeles, but some local officials are really taking issue with a new processing site that disposes of the hazardous waste materials from the Eaton fire. They say federal and state officials completely blindsided them with this now neighboring site. NBC News correspondent Liz Croys explains why they're worried that this could cause long-term environmental harm to residents.
In the Los Angeles burn zones is one of the most challenging next steps, safely removing miles of toxic debris. Both President Trump and California Governor Newsom have asked the EPA to speed up the first phase of the process.
We need it done in 30 days. The original commitment was 60 days. Spare no resources.
One of the EPA's debris processing sites, Lario Park, located 15 miles east of the Altadena burn zone, on land owned by the federal government, but long operated by LA County.
So this is the park that's now been turned into this processing center. It's usually a public park with a bike path that runs through here. All of it is now closed to the public, though. From what we can see, there's a large tent that's been set up. The EPA says this is where they are bringing the debris. They are then sorting it and packaging it up for disposal.
The use of this site in the largely Latino and working class community has sparked outrage.
Why not Altadena?
Residents packing a recent town hall.
Can you look me in the eyes and say, would you allow your children, your elderly, would you live in a place where this is going on?
The woman who asked that question, Celisa Luesa.
This was a path of least resistance. They felt like we wouldn't put up a fight. Personally, I feel like it's a part of environmental racism too.
The EPA says the site is safe and that it will ensure no negative impact to the environment or its residents. But for Luesa, it's too late.
The bridge of trust has been broken.
And it's not just residents. The 4 mayors representing the cities surrounding Lario Park tell NBC News they were blindsided.
Were any of you contacted by anybody ahead of time or informed that this was going to be the site where the debris was coming?
Absolutely not. No.
Just watching the news, and that's how I found out.
You found out watching the local news?
Yes.
No communication. Chief of police thought it was a sandbag distribution.
Kind of looked like a rodeo was coming to town.
They question if the new 30-day timeline played a role.
The governor, in competition with the president, is trying to expedite everything that's through this process. Feels like we're in the crosshairs per se.
NBC News has reached out to several agencies seeking answers about who knew what and when. LA County Supervisor Hilda Solis, who represents cities around Lario Park, declined to be interviewed, but told NBC News that the decision was made by the EPA and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. When NBC News asked when the county first learned the park may be used as a hazardous waste site, her office did not respond. But according to the EPA, the agency first approached the county about the site on January 16th, 9 days before any of the local mayors or residents say they became aware of the plan.
I believe the higher ups knew what was happening. Higher ups who? The federal, the government, the president, the governor. They failed to inform us.
We need to make sure that the assurances are there in place, that after they pick up their tents and material and leave, that we're not left in this region being affected for years to come.
Liz Kreutz, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Well, look, everyone knows that we are all feeling the pinch on our wallets with prices for eggs, gas, just everyday items like coffee on the rise. And now with newly imposed tariffs, that may be even more difficult to pay for daily expenses and still have enough left over for those much needed savings. CNBC senior personal finance correspondent Sharon Epperson joins us now with some strategies to help us build up those reserves. It's interesting because Sharon, you always give us the best tips. And you talk about how now with these higher prices, we actually have to sort of like respond to that and retool our budgets. How do we do it?
Absolutely. You need to reevaluate your expenses. If you haven't looked at your budget in a while, it's time to look at where you can cut. A lot of people are already saying, I'm going to cut out non-essentials. I'm not eating out. I'm not doing takeout. I'm really going to just pay for what I need. And also comparison shop. I'm going to make sure that I'm looking at, with rising prices, the impact of tariffs, maybe looking at secondhand goods, locally shopping, also paying attention to how I'm able to look for those price alerts and get those price alerts online. And then making sure that you're not doing an impulse buy, making sure that you're not trying to stockpile or hoard things because you're afraid the prices are going to go up, so you're going to get it, but it doesn't really fit into your budget. And there's a budget line that some people don't have that probably is a good one to put in at this time, and that is to have a buffer, to have a couple $100s a month that you're putting into it. Some financial advisors say maybe as much as 5% of your monthly expenses. That is just money that's going to an account so that if prices go up or something comes up that you hadn't planned for in your budget, you have that money to pay for it.
So you're describing almost like an inflation buffer. Is that different and separate from your traditional savings that You would advise us all to have.
The emergency savings account is something different. That is, it's going to be much larger. That's something that you want to have enough money in 6 months worth of living expenses. at
6
least.
months worth of,
That's what many financial advisors are saying now, that you should have about 6 months worth of living expenses if you
And
can.
I feel like people
But you
do that and they freak out and
They
say,
freak out. So you start doing, right, so you start doing a little bit at a time and starting with $100, $200 a month, adding to that for the buffer and then continuing that for your emergency reserve.
With 15 seconds left to go, what is your number one strategy for us to boost our savings?
Well, the number one thing is to make sure you're thinking about flexibility. In a time where people are uncertain, you want to make sure that your money's not necessarily tied up and you won't be able to take it out unless you take a loan from your retirement plan. So make sure you have emergency savings. Yes, it's important to contribute to retirement savings, but it's also important to have that flexibility with a high yield savings account. And if you have a retirement account like a Roth IRA, know that the money that you put into that, your contributions, are those that you can take out at any time. So that can also serve as somewhat of an emergency fund, not the first choice, but for at least taking out your contributions, not your earnings, just your contributions.
Sharon Epperson, Beauty and Brains, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Sharon.
Sure.
Well, listen, you can scan the QR code there on your screen for more of Sharon's money saving tips, or go to cnbc.com/yourmoney. Make sure you check it out. Right now, Ticketmaster is buzzing as the first round of tickets for Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album tour go on sale. That highly anticipated Rodeo Chitlin Circuit tour is set to kick off in LA in April, and it will be one of 9 cities that she'll be touring this year. Thankfully, we have NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Melas joining me on set. Chloe, I've seen so many people post on Instagram, the Bay Hive, about this. How much are these tickets?
Okay, well, some tickets you can get for like $70, but other ones are upwards of $400, $500. Every single person watching right now can buy them on Friday, on Valentine's Day. But if you're a part of the Bay Hive, you got special access today. But some people are already complaining that they were waiting in long online queues, and then when they got there weren't any tickets left. Tomorrow, if you are a special Citi card holder, you can go enter digits of your debit card or your credit card, and that gives you access to that sale. And then other people who signed on to this Live Nation pre-sale months ago, they get access for something called the Artist pre-sale on Thursday. So again, if you did your homework and you prepared for this, you were ready. And obviously, there were so many rumors as to what was Beyonce's big announcement going to be, and a lot of people thought that it was a tour, so they were ready.
That's interesting. It's definitely a case of the early bird gets the worm. But, you know, we saw this with the other queen, with Queen Taylor, that Ticketmaster the website couldn't sustain the level of excitement. How's the website holding up here?
So again, some fans, especially overseas in the UK, are claiming that Ticketmaster crashed. And Ticketmaster has come out and said, it's not on us, it's on you. It's your cookies, it's the issues that you have with your internet, only have one tab open. So they're tweeting and putting out advice for people to help them. It's you, it's you, it's not me. But listen, she has just added more dates today. So she's added 2 more dates in London. She's going to kick things off in April 28th in LA, and then she wraps things up right around my birthday in July 13th in Atlanta. But she is going to be LA, Chicago, New Jersey, London, Paris, her hometown of Houston, DC, and like I said, ending in the dirty South, the ATL.
I was going to say, it sounds like you're going to be spending your birthday in Atlanta, girlfriend.
Big 39. I saw Beyonce years ago, and I have to say, she puts on a heck of a show. She is incredible. Yes, and I've seen Taylor too. And I love her too. I love them all.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it, Chloe. Well, listen, stay right here, because coming up next, dealing with seasonal affective disorder. Look, it's hard enough, but what if you see the same symptoms in your kids? Thankfully, we've got some tips to help parents manage their children's winter blues all season long. Stay right here. You're watching NBC News TV.
If you take or have taken Humira for moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis and still have symptoms, you don't have to settle. Ask your gastroenterologist if switching to Rinvoq is right for you. It's one of the latest treatments from the makers of Humira. Rinvoq works differently than Humira and may help. Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can deliver rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission, and helps visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal, cancers, including lymphoma and skin. Serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occur. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events: infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant, or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Rapid symptom relief and lasting steroid-free remission are possible with Rinvoq. Ask your gastroenterologist if switching to Rinvoq is right for you. You could pay as little as $0 per month.
We come here to make the most of today.
And we step through the morning together, and we walk through the rest of our day feeling just a little bit better.
And we are today.
From inside Iraq, from Israel, from Tampa, Hurricane Milton is here. Where we're standing right now is covered in water. Barbara continued reporting. Thanks for talking to me.
News lives in the now.
All of that snow fell in a matter of days.
Food and medicine, this time being dropped over southern Gaza.
It looks like hot lava.
News for the generation of now is NBC News Now.
Kristen Welker hosts Meet the Press every Sunday on NBC.
With cold weather still gripping a big part of the country, people of all ages may be experiencing seasonal affective disorder. It's otherwise known as the winter blues. So for children, symptoms can include things like mood swings, sleep changes, a loss of appetite, even depression. Author and parenting expert, our friend Sissy Goff joins us now. Sissy, it's a pleasure to have you here on set.
Thank you for having me back.
Yeah, look, listen, we talk a lot about isolation, right? And its effect in our society. How does that show up in children?
Well, I think it shows up like it does us. I had 2 teenage girls in a group counseling session last week who said to me, I just don't want to get out of bed. And we can all relate to that. And so I think pulling away, staying behind screens, spending time in their rooms, and for any child, any adolescent who's isolating, I worry that it can move over into depression and then anxiety because they're just looping in those anxious thoughts.
When we talk about moving into depression, where is the line? Like, how do you know if there's something clinical going on with your kid?
Well, I think when they lose interest in the things they love and when they withdraw, especially from peers. When we think about teenagers in particular, they thrive with friends. And so if they're not wanting to spend time with their peers, that's when I get really concerned about an adolescent.
You talk about how this winter blues can show up sometimes differently in boys than in girls. What is the difference?
Well, I think with boys, we're going to sometimes see more depressive or aggressive features. So they're going to be flat, sullen, moody, withdrawn, or they're going to get bigger. My friend and author David Thomas talks about how boys have more physicality to their emotions. So they go outward, and boys are going to need more help regulating in those spaces because of it.
And so if you're knowing that now as a parent, or you're seeing that, you talk about 3 things that parents should be doing in the winter especially. What are they?
3 really simple things. One is I want every kid to be moving. And that's hard in shorter, darker days, but bundle up, take the dog for a walk, or invest in a little walking pad or a mini tramp. I have a 6 and 2-year-old nephew that come over a lot, and they bounce and bounce, and my puppy bounces with them, and it's great. Or, they sell those indoor snowball fights, anything they can do to move inside even. That's the first. The second is to connect. And so they may be more hesitant to do that. And if you say, do you want to have a play date? And they say no, you make sure they do anyway.
Now, does connecting online count?
No. I want them to be in person, face to face, and us to do whatever we need to do to make that more enticing. And then The third is, in this age of anxiety, in this age of the lack of resilience among kids, I've never seen anything like it in 30 years of counseling kids. I want them to be doing hard things. And so what can we do in the colder days to set that up? And sometimes it's even just at home. There are things we can do. And I would say, if you're a parent listening, I want to ask you 2 questions I would love for you to think about. One is, what are 2 things you're doing for your kids right now that they can do for themselves?
Very interesting.
What are 2 things you're doing for your kids that they can almost do for themselves? And I want every parent, grandparent, aunt, or uncle to stop doing all 4. Because kids learn that they're capable by experience.
Help them be strong and do for themselves. Sissy Doc, thank you so much. We appreciate it, Sissy. And stay right here. You're watching NBC News Daily.
Live from New York, it's SNL 50 Week on Today.
We're putting together your favorite cast members every morning.
And taking you behind the scenes of all the magic. So join us all this week, only on Today.
Breaking news tonight as we come on the air live tonight from New Orleans. Top story live from the Pacific Palisades.
A fire like this would erupt into a blowtorch with those Santa Ana winds, so it's a race against time.
As you look over to Bourbon Street, the first question is it safe tonight?
Gas prices coming down, mortgage rates starting to come down. When will consumers feel it even more? Paris' Notre Dame Cathedral finally reopening following years of renovations.
Every night, it's your news playlist. Top story with Tom Yallis. Streaming weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
In Connecticut, one high school is helping their students shop for affordable and stylish clothes right outside the classroom. Get this, Jennifer Cuevas from our NBC affiliate WVIT takes us inside this student-made thrift store.
Imagine being able to shop for clothes, shoes, and accessories right at school. Students at Lyman Hall High School are getting exactly that through their school's thrift store, Top Drawer.
Students can come in, everything is free to students.
Social worker Christina Jensen brought the idea to her school after her daughter told her of a thrift store at her high school in Branford. Jensen made the pitch to her principal, Joseph Corso, who gave the green light, and from there, they hit the ground running.
Students can get things for themselves, for their family members, so for younger siblings or parents who may need something.
Whether they are having trouble affording clothes regularly or they're just looking for something new, all of our students really feel comfortable coming through here.
With the help of English teacher Jen Castelli, the former classroom now resembles a real store.
Some of our racks in the beginning had like 3 things on them. And then we started putting like, okay, well now we have enough men's t-shirts to all put together. And then, so we tried to kind of do it that way.
The store opened back in October, and so far it has helped over 400 students.
I actually did get some pants from here, the jeans, they were really nice.
And they were like those type of jeans that it's like, oh, I would buy it at a store, but it was too expensive. And I came here and I found them.
The store is also helping to destigmatize shopping for used clothes.
It feels like you could just walk in here and without anybody judging or saying anything back to you.
Jensen adds the response has been more than she could have ever imagined.
Being able to work with really great people who can help to make things come to reality, it's what being part of this school has meant to me for so many years.
For NBC News Daily, I'm Jennifer Cuevas.
I'm so excited to share this story with you because at an Eastern Ohio high school, senior Vince Coleman dominates the wrestling mat. He's setting records while preparing for college, and he's doing it all after having both legs amputated. Stephen Wasserman from our NBC affiliate WHIZ has this inspiring story.
Vince Coleman is doing something that few others can say that they've done by climbing his way to the top of the wrestling ladder in Zanesville history. But the all-time leader in wins for the Blue Devils had nothing short of a difficult road to get to this point.
So when I was born, I was missing like 2 major bones in my legs. I'm not sure which ones it were. It wouldn't able my legs to function right, and I wasn't able to walk like everybody else. And my parents thought it was the best decision to just amputate them so I could kind of have an easier life. I don't remember much of it, but I just remember, having a hard time walking and just having help with almost everything, like reaching stuff and having devices to be able to walk.
Not even 3 years old and missing both of his legs, that didn't stop him from finding his true calling once he got to Zanesville.
I never knew this type of wrestling existed when I was younger, but in 7th grade, they announced wrestling tryouts, and I thought it was professional wrestling, WWE cage type stuff. So I thought it was really cool and I really wanted to do it, but I found out it was something different. I still ended up
Fast forward 5 years, and Vince has found his way into Zanesville history in the 106-pound division, becoming the first Blue Devils wrestler to eclipse the 100-win mark.
When I started wrestling, I just thought it was a fun pastime activity to do with some friends and stuff. But as time went on, I really grew a deep love for the sport, and I really wanted to bring it to the next level and make some things happen.
When I started coaching, when I was hired, the one wrestler our school administration told me about was Vince Coleman. He was coming in, he was going to be a freshman. And so they told me, get ready, that he's going to be the hardest worker you've ever seen. And he proved that from the moment I met him. He was all in from the second I came in.
Vince's journey won't stop here, as the senior is set to continue wrestling at Washington and Jefferson College after his time at Zanesville.
It was really inspiring for me to sign my letter to wrestle in college because not a lot of people wrestle at all, but I'm glad I can just be the one from my school to bring that success.
As his high school career comes to a close at the end of the winter season, Vince will continue to be an inspiration as long as the mats are laid down at Zanesville. For NBC News Daily, I'm Stephen Wasserman.
I'm Morgan Radford, and you are watching NBC News Daily. Remember, you can always watch us for free 24/7 on our streaming network, NBC News Now, or wherever you stream. That includes all the places there on your screen. Your news continues right after this.
At Chomps, we create snacks for people who are hungry to get the most out of life, who only accept the highest quality. Because real life demands real ingredients. We make snacks that don't take shortcuts, with grass-fed and finished beef, 0 sugar, and up to 12 grams of protein. When life challenges you, take bigger bites. Chomps, take bigger bites. Learn more at chomps.com.
Excuse me, Razor Bird.
Security.
Shave Honey.
Welcome to Dollar Shave Club. Let's go. At Dollar Shave Club, we get the facial hairs personal. We've got something for every body and every budget. We think that's pretty great. If I may, blades, electrics, creams, and butters. I'll leave you to it. Welcome to the club.
Highland sugar-free botanical sleep liquids are made with or without melatonin for a truly good night's sleep. Because their most relaxing nights make for their most exciting days. Highland's melatonin and melatonin-free sleep liquids.
This is Maggie. Maggie has always wanted more power, more security, more value. So when Maggie discovered Blink Smart Home Security with more battery life, more simplicity, and more convenience without spending more, well, it's given Maggie what she's always wanted. More. Blink and get more.
It's not just a donation.
It's a warm blanket.
It's a bottle of clean water.
It's a roof and a bed.
It's knowing someone cares.
It's feeling safe.
It's a today that's better than yesterday.
Every dollar you can spare helps so much more than you can imagine. Donate now to help people affected by the 2025 California wildfires. Your support is urgently needed.
Thanks for talking to me.
Hi everyone, I'm Morgan Radford. My co-anchor Vicky is on assignment, and NBC News Daily starts right now. Today is Tuesday, February 11th. Second wave. Flu infections are surging, with doctor visits for the virus hitting a 15-year high. How to stay healthy amid this late season spike. Plus, runaway disaster. One person killed when the private jet of the frontman for the Motley Crue rolled into another plane that was parked nearby. More on that investigation into the deadly incident. Terrifying attack. 2 Florida women recounting the moment they were bitten by a bull shark in the Bahamas. How their dream vacation quickly turned into a nightmare. Cannabis and cognition, the largest study ever done on marijuana and brain function, is revealing the drug's impact on young minds. How all of this can reduce a person's ability to complete simple, everyday tasks. Welcome to NBC News Daily, where we start right now with the worst flu season in 15 years taking hold here in the U.S. In fact, according to the latest data from the CDC, nearly every single state in this country is facing a severe second wave. Patients are overflowing hospitals and doctors' offices all the way from New Mexico to New York, with symptoms ranging from high fevers, body aches, and severe respiratory issues. At least 13,000 people, including 57 kids, have died, and there are concerns now that those numbers will rise. The medical community urging everyone to get vaccinated before it's too late. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa joins me now from Chicago. Maggie, what exactly is behind the second wave? What are doctors doing about it? Doctors, Morgan, are scrambling to keep up, quite frankly. A lot of these hospitals are really overwhelmed. As far as what's behind it, it's hard to say. Experts say there's a number of factors. I mean, keep in mind, we're not that far out of the pandemic. For years, a lot of us were really isolated, so suddenly we're back in public spaces. And they say viruses are able to spread that much more easily because our immunity levels have dropped. But then we talk about vaccination rates. That's a key factor. It's hard to say if that's fueling this surge right now, so late in the season, but definitely months ago, experts were warning, for instance, pediatric vaccination rates, the rate of kids getting their flu shots in America, had dropped 14% from this time 5 years ago. And they had warned that they feared the peak of this season, which is pretty much hitting right now. This is the highest wave of flu activity we've seen this season thus far. They had warned it would be exponentially worse than years past. And the statistic that we see that seems to sort of magnify that the most is that 15-year high in doctors' visits. That's really striking. You know, it's interesting because it's hurting our kids, but it's also hurting our educators. I mean, some states have been forced to close school just because so many teachers as well as students are getting sick. Pediatric flu deaths, as we mentioned, hit 57. What do parents ultimately need to know to make sure that their kids are safe? Right. We want to put that number in context, by the way. 57 pediatric flu deaths. In years past, a peak that we hit was well over 100. So we haven't gotten to a peak there yet, but experts are worried it could happen. But you're right. Last week, we were at a rural Ohio school district that shut down for a majority of the week after the superintendent told me a quarter of her students and staff were calling out sick. She said she had never seen absentee rates like that before. And she says, yeah, it's easier to shut down in the post-COVID era. We know how to do this. But she said she had never seen the impact like this before. Again, doctors urging parents to get their kids the flu shots and keep them home if they're sick. Morgan. Live from Chicago, Maggie Vespa, thank you. Let's head down to Arizona, where one person is dead after a jet owned by Motley Crue frontman Vince Neil collided into another plane on the runway. Neil's representatives say he was not on board at the time of the incident. And this surveillance video here on your screen, it actually shows the Learjet arriving at Scottsdale Airport from Texas yesterday afternoon. And then you can see, look at that little red circle. That's where it veers off the runway and slams into a larger jet that was parked nearby. 4 people were injured in that crash. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin joins us now from Scottsdale, Arizona with the latest. Dana, there have been so many investigations into these aviation crashes issues just in the past 2-3 weeks. The FAA and the NTSB have been investigating this particular issue. What have we learned so far?
Yeah, so the FAA says that 5 people total were involved, 4 on the plane owned by Vince Neil and 1 person on that larger Gulfstream. And I'll just step out so you can take a look at the crash scene, which is in the distance where both planes are still on the ground. But this was likely some sort of landing gear malfunction because the fire department says that it failed once this plane tried to land, and part of that gear was actually sitting on the runway. Investigators are likely to come out, continue their investigation, and move these planes. We know that Vince Neil was not on board the plane, but his girlfriend, Rain, and her friend were, because of a post that the Motley Crue made on their Instagram. They also said that 2 pilots were on board that plane. Investigators have not revealed who was killed, so that's one thing that we are still waiting to learn. Morgan?
Speaking of which, I mean, how are Vince Neil and even the other members of Motley Crue responding?
Well, it's interesting because Morgan, last night they posted to Instagram one message that identified the person who they said was killed in this crash, but they deleted that post. So obviously we're not going to repeat it because that hasn't been confirmed. They did confirm that the girlfriend and a friend were also injured, non-life-threatening injuries taken to a hospital. They also mentioned that they were going to announce ways for other people to help support the family of the person who died. They replaced that statement with a new statement, and I want to read part of it. This comes from a representative of Vince Neil. It says, Mr. Neil's thoughts and prayers go out to everyone involved, and he is grateful for the critical aid of all first responders. We haven't heard anything new today, but we're hoping that we'll get an update on how his girlfriend is doing and what's the next steps. Morgan?
Dana Griffin there on the ground for us in Arizona. Dana, thank you. Well, right now, President Trump is meeting with the King of Jordan about the future of Gaza. All of this coming after Trump gave Hamas an ultimatum and warned that all hell is going to break out if the militant group does not release all hostages by Saturday. Trump also suggested that he might cut off aid to both Jordan and Egypt if, in fact, they refuse to take in Palestinian refugees who would be relocated from Gaza under his redevelopment plan for that strip. Just take a listen to what both leaders said just minutes ago.
Why should the king take in the Palestinian people? He's made clear he doesn't want to.
Well, I don't know, but he may have just something to say because we discussed just briefly.
One of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible.
NBC News senior White House correspondent Gabe Gutierrez is live with us from the White House. Gabe, this is interesting because this was a highly anticipated meeting. Jordan has long been a U.S. ally, but this meeting was frankly expected to be a bit awkward because of this ask that President Trump was expected to make. What has been said thus far?
Hi there, Morgan. Certainly a very awkward situation with King Abdullah and in the White House right now, as you said, meeting with President Trump. And I was in the Oval Office yesterday and asked the president, should this ceasefire be off? And the president responded with that deadline that you mentioned, that Hamas needed to release the hostages on Saturday. But as you said, he then came out and said that he could withhold foreign aid from Egypt and Jordan. So that's the backdrop we're heading into today. So far, it's been a very diplomatic tone. But President Trump was also asked about his plan to redevelop Gaza. Let's listen.
Some people say this is ethnic cleansing. You won't be able to force them to leave the land.
We're moving them to a beautiful location where they have new homes, where they can live safely, where they'll have doctors and medical.
King Abdullah also in that meeting with the president that we just heard from several minutes ago, also saying that, again, striking a very diplomatic tone and saying that Egypt will have to be involved in these talks about the future of the Middle East. But the president insisting and not really answering the question of how Palestinians will be forced out of Gaza. He maintains that they'll want to leave on their own.
Which is interesting because you know from covering this White House, Gabe, that a lot of times we're sort of left scrambling to understand what these things could mean in real time. Because with this president, he sometimes says things, but we don't really have a lot of details about how it will play out. Do we have any solid details at this point about what President Trump's plan is for Gaza?
No, we don't. Today, he spoke a little bit more about it, saying that in his mind, he wanted to see hotels built there. He wanted to see Gaza reconstructed. He didn't say that he has not said that he wants the U.S. to pay for it. So that's still very unclear. Potentially, he wants other countries in the region to pay for it. But he also still has not ruled out American troops, although the White House says that he has not committed to that. So still a lot of unanswered questions about the future of Gaza. This, of course, is a sharp departure from previous administrations who repeatedly have said that the U.S. wanted a two-state solution. According to President Trump, not anymore.
Gabe Gutierrez, excellent reporting there from the White House front lawn. Thank you. Turning now to our CNBC Money Minute, Meta, Facebook's parent company, has started firing thousands of employees based on performance. Now, the company says it's expected to cut about 5% of its staff and replace them with machine learning engineers. CNBC reporter Savannah Hanau joins me now. Savannah, what does it mean to have machine learning engineers?
Hey, Morgan, good afternoon. Well, the company, as you mentioned, is cutting its lowest performing employees, and this is as it readies its finances for another year of heavy investment into artificial intelligence. According to an internal memo seen by CNBC, CEO Mark Zuckerberg said last month that 2025 would be an intense year. The layoffs affect about 4,000 workers. And Google says it has updated the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America in its maps system. The change reflects the official update of the body of waters named in the U.S. Geographical Names Information System. Now, people using Google Maps in the U.S. will see the new name, but it will remain the Gulf of Mexico for the rest of the world. This comes after President Trump ordered the update in an executive order on his first day in office.
All right, Savannah Hanau for us there. Savannah, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Well, stay right here because coming up, a flight attendant was seen punching a passenger who appeared to be experiencing a violent medical episode. We'll show you the disturbing incident on board an Alaska Airlines plane. Stay right here. You're watching NBC News Daily.
tonight as we come on the air live tonight from New Orleans. Top story live from the Pacific Palisades. Fire like this would erupt into a blow torch when those Santa Ana winds. So it's a race against time. As you look over to Burns, the first question is it safe tonight? Gas prices going down, mortgage rates are come down. When will consumers feel it? Paris' Notre Dame Cathedral finally reopening following years of renovation. Every year it's your news playlist. Top story,
That wasn't me. Yes, you know it's not.
Right now, 2 women from Florida are recovering after being attacked by a shark. All of this happened on Friday during a vacation trip in the Bahamas. NBC News correspondent Sam Brock has more on what the women describe as the scariest moments of their lives.
On their first day, basking in the sun of the Bahamas, a dream vacation turned into a nightmare for 2 young Florida women.
We're just very grateful to still be here with all of our limbs.
Fucking sharks.
Typically,
Sharks.
don't
That's
get
it.
off that easy.
If
The
we
definition
crazy,
of
that's
easy
it.
in this case, surviving an attack from what
Lie,
they
we
believe was a bull shark.
It's crazy.
Just
It's all
minutes
crazy.
after
Don't talk to
Riley
me.
Decker and Summer Lehman plunged into the Caribbean Sea off a friend's yacht.
I felt something nudge my leg. And I was like, Summer, what was that? And she was like, don't scare me like that. And probably about 2 minutes later, we were right by the ladder. I felt my leg get tugged down. And I immediately knew I was bit by a shark.
Their group of friends and family immediately pulling them to safety, wrapping a tourniquet around Riley's right leg. Summer suffering a serious bite too.
They yelled to me that the top of my foot was shredded, and I just hadn't realized until I looked down.
The 24-year-old Lehman and 20-year-old Decker just hours into their vacation Friday and confronting their own mortality.
I just put my head in my hands and started praying. God would take my life and I would live. Yeah, it was very scary.
Riley was airlifted to a hospital in the Bahamas for further treatment, and once she was stable, both women were flown back to Florida for Riley's surgery. The Bahamas has one of the highest shark incident rates in the world, with 34 confirmed unprovoked attacks since record-keeping began. In 2023, a 44-year-old Boston woman was killed after she was bitten while paddleboarding. A 10-year-old boy from Maryland hospitalized last January after he was attacked inside of a shark tank at a popular resort. And months later in April, a 24-year-old man was attacked by 2 sharks in a matter of seconds after falling into the water at a marina. The latest victims are staying positive, helped by a shark-themed gift basket from loved ones at the hospital. But they say one thing is certain.
I will not be on the car for a long time.
Oh, I will never, I won't put my toes in ever again.
Sam Brock, NBC News.
A video of an Alaska Airlines flight is going viral after a flight attendant is seen punching a passenger who appeared to be going through a medical episode. The flight attendant intervened when the man began attacking a female passenger. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin has the details.
So in my videos, I'm allowing the TV to play in the background, and it's external audio of what is being filmed.
At times punching him, trying to get the passenger to release the hair of 32-year-old Erica Ramos sitting in front of him.
I really wasn't sure what was happening in that
Something wrong with
moment.
these goddamn celebs. Don't say that
I
we
was
okay.
afraid that this
So
person
I'm
was
keeping
going to start
record, and I have it from
Escaping the seat, and
since they started this shit with me. No, I said that. It's only a matter of time. Yes, no, I said that. I don't think people hearing this back we innocent if we crazy. So then I said that I'm about to mention if we innocent. I don't think people hearing this. Then I said that on her mouth. Then I'm about to mention if I'm done.
I did not say anything to him. I think I was just really in shock. From my understanding of things, he was having a psychotic episode.
The plane, still on the ground, was scheduled to fly to Portland, Oregon from Oakland, California on February 1st, but after the chaotic ordeal, it was forced to return to its gate so authorities could intervene. It's not every day that you see flight attendants throwing punches to try to subdue an unruly passenger. Was that
Only Katanji up and it ain't her. No, that's it. I think people hearing this back we innocent if we crazy. So then I sit there. Bye we innocent if we dumb. Then I think people knowing this bye we innocent if we dumb. Then I said that's what shit or something.
There was imminent danger here. Alaska Airlines telling NBC News in part that the man appeared to be experiencing a violent medical episode that involved an ongoing physical assault against other passengers and our crew. Our crew responded to the chaotic situation quickly and kept all guests safe, adding that the man has been banned from future flights. The airline has found itself at the center of increased public scrutiny recently after multiple high-profile safety incidents. It was an Alaska Airlines flight last January that had its door plug blow off the fuselage of a Boeing 737 MAX 9 midair. And in 2023, an off-duty Alaska Airlines pilot attempted to disengage the engines of a plane mid-flight. That pilot later telling investigators he had recently taken magic mushrooms. This latest incident resolving relatively quickly, but leaving passengers in shock as flying continues to drive many to the breaking point. Dana Griffin, NBC News.
Later on this hour, the New York City mayor speaking out for the first time since the Justice Department ordered the charges against him be dropped. We will take a look at where his case could be headed next. Stay right here. You're watching NBC News Channel.
At Chomps, we create snacks for people who are hungry to get the most out of life, who only accept the highest quality. Because real life demands real ingredients. We make snacks that don't take shortcuts, with grass-fed and finished beef, 0 sugar, and up to 12
Yes, we know. That's how we can leave me alone. Don't talk to them like that. I'm just hearing this back we innocent. Do we sound done? Then I sit there and heard this. I'm just hearing this. I sit there and heard my. Then we talk on her, let's easy us. Then I start hearing this shit. This bitch is dumb. I don't know what the fuck going on with this damn country, but it is a lot of retarded, crazy ass motherfucker people who are aiding that bitch and who I know would not want to be sued and fucking like if we crazy. You know what I'm saying? Nothing else. I'm hearing this shit. Real life shit. If we innocent, I think we were hearing this back we innocent. If we crazy, hearing this shit. No, they would not. Then I don't think people knowing this. Get off my mouth. Don't say that shit. You're retarded. That bitch is motherfucking retarded. And so is your dumb ass saying that shit. That's it. I don't think people hearing this on my mouth. Yes, it is. So these niggas admit they talk from my mouth. Rely on me saying stupid people or stupid shit was said from my lips so that they can act like I chose to say the if we crazy. So I said that. Don't say shit that's not true story. And this bitch running around looking like a goddamn little troll on with all that costume shit in Broadway. Just say that. If we insane, so then just say no. Looking like a goddamn little Martian. Yes, she does not. No, that's say no. They got her wearing William Shakespeare type of clothing. If we insane, shit. Back we insane. In a gay Broadway play. If we in, that's shit. That's all. I don't think people knowing it. Back we insane. If we insane, people hearing this shit. Then I said there. Then people hearing this shit.
The Echo Show and Fire TV.
My nigga dumb as fuck. Yes, we know. That's it. We ain't crazy. The man know damn well he ain't nothing but a piece of meat. If we in something, if we were hearing this shit, that's like shit. That's something. Yes, I know I'm a piece of meat. That's say no. Yes, you are. No, he's not. Yes, I am. That's that shit. That's something. Yes, yeah. Don't say nothing. He ain't a damn piece of meat. Yes, I am. No, don't tell this woman you're a piece of meat. Mind your business, child. Don't talk to him like that. No, you fuck you. I'm about to mention if we crazy. So then that's that shit. That's something. Mind your business. Don't talk to him like that. And him not him. What should I do? I'm gonna fuck him. Okay. I'll be that boomerang. Don't say that. I don't think people hearing this back we innocent. If we correct, that's that shit that's not for this.
So I'm not sure if you've tried one, but for a lot of people, these new ancestry kits, they help people connect with distant relatives and really uncover their family history.
Don't say that. Don't think people hearing this now play that shit or listen to it, bitch. Leave me a fuck alone. Don't think people hearing this back we innocent.
Families whose kids are now part of an investigation.
Yes, they ain't dumb.
Typically, a death certificate would tell you basic information about a person, but this man's life took an unusual twist. He was buried in the small town of North Platte, Nebraska 6 decades ago, with a grave marker that reads, Unknown Negro.
I've driven by that cemetery probably thousands of times in my career, and quite honestly, never even noticed it. to be honest with you. But every single day when I
So now she heard him say help her. So she's gonna say, no, don't help her because she got an attitude. That's right, we ain't crazy. I'm about to mention if we innocent. People hearing this shit.
Sheriff's office for a few years to try and figure out where he's from.
I mean, my nigga even trying to act like she writes for me. If I'm innocent, no, I don't want people knowing this. That's that shit that's off a list. How the fuck was she hired making $300,000 a year if we innocent? That's that shit
He
that's off
could
a list.
be from anywhere. Finding this man's identity would need a different approach.
And we help law enforcement agencies, medical examiners, and coroners. when
This
they
woman
have
is not lying.
unidentified
This shit is
human remains
ridiculous. What the
cases.
fuck is going on in this
Jennifer
country?
Randolph
That's that
works
shit.
for the DNA
You know damn well you ain't gonna give me no
They use
300,000.
DNA
If
profiles
we
and
insane, that's that
genealogical
shit.
research
People
to
hearing it.
identify
But we
genetic
insane. Do we sound
codes.
dumb? I don't think people know
It
that
starts
shit. That's
when
that shit
people
that's up
take a test, like
Dude, yes, they
23andMe
do.
or
Oh, that's it.
Family
Okay.
DNA,
Wow, that one
and
is-
upload their
this woman is not
information
about
to
to take
sites
that
like
damn job.
GEDmatch. Organizations like the DNA Doe
Yes,
Project
it is.
can
Shit.
use
Then I
that
said that.
information and build out
Then
family
back
trees
we
of
insane. If we
unidentified
retarded.
people.
Don't say shit
In the
that's off the
case
list
of
of times.
this unknown man, trying to find family members became a challenge of its own.
So he doesn't have a lot of people who are really closely related to him. And that's not uncommon when the Joe that we're trying to identify is an African American.
Yes, Katanji, a black woman. Do I sound dumb? Then I sit down. The people hearing this back we innocent. Do we sound dumb? That's what shit is talking about.
Information so they don't
Wild
even
and
try.
unstable
Then
ass
there are
creatures.
people
Yes,
like
they are
Liz
not.
Taylor, who
Or
believe the risk
semen.
is
Yes,
worth
they
it.
ain't. Ain't no damn semen. That's it. Then why you got them joining the United States State Force? That's it. I'm people hearing this shit. That's it. About medicine. Do we sound dumb? Then I said, those people hearing this shit.
Chris's curiosity helped our
Okay,
investigation. He's a distant relative to the unknown Negro on his mother's side.
Well, everybody's body is full of history and knowledge.
Chris shares the same sentiments as Angela Dennis.
Still
and
messing
Dora
with my
Cahill.
butt. Yeah, she ain't
They've been
crazy.
Using ancestry sites to fill in the gaps in their
Well,
family
let her
tree.
play with your butt like
Many
this. Don't say that. I'm
African-Americans have
hearing this
missing
shit. That's
parts
it.
because
I'm
of
people
slavery
hearing this
or
back we
record
innocent.
keeping
That's that shit
and
that's up.
unexplainable
I'm about to
circumstances.
mention. I'm people knowing this shit. About I mention if we crack. That's that shit that's up.
And you never came back home.
Unfortunately, we couldn't give Dora answers about her uncle, but their DNA profile found they're related to the unknown Negro on his father's side.
We were so, especially the nieces and stuff that do the genealogy thing, the ancestry thing, because we get to my mother and it stops. You know, absolutely nothing. So they say, oh, maybe.
Yes, it is true.
The
That's
best
it.
way
Okay.
to untangle these
Y'all
family
doing
trees
shit y'all
is by
ain't supposed to be
bringing
doing.
everyone
Nobody's
together.
supposed to be stalking
They all
people
live
for
in
their damn
California.
thoughts.
On
And
the
then
death
went into a
certificate, it
fucking
says
real
the train
thinking her
of
thoughts
Memphis
meant y'all
started
motherfucker
in
like if we
Roseville,
are real. Yes, it is.
When
That's
I
what it
looked
means.
into
I'm here hearing this shit.
newspaper
True
articles,
story. Yes,
I
it is.
found
That's
another
it.
clue.
I'm thinking
Fatal
people hearing
arson
this back
down
we
here.
innocent if we
The article
retarded.
outlines
Just that shit
details
that's up
we
for
already
lesbian.
knew, but then it tells us when he was found, he had a pack of cigarettes with a California tax stamp and $1 in cash. So I had to tell Sergeant Myers that we were on the right track.
Somebody cared enough to get that information back to California and in print. So I think we have a great opportunity to carry on, I think, what was honestly started back on November 1st, 1961.
In the meantime, while we continue searching for potential leads, members of the unknown Negroes' newly gained family say this is far from over.
I feel like I don't want my life to end without knowing who he is and who had him and who his parents were, if he has kids, you know. I mean, there's too many possibilities.
For NBC News Daily, I'm Marissa Burke.
What an interesting story. Thanks, Marissa. Stay here. You're watching NBC News.
If you take or have taken Humira for moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis and still have symptoms, you don't have to settle. Ask your gastroenterologist if switching to Rinvoq is right for you. It's one of the latest treatments from the makers of Humira. Rinvoq works differently than Humira. Enable, Rinvoq is a once-daily pill that can deliver rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission, and helps visibly reduce damage of the intestinal lining.
Rinvoq can lower blood to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal, cancers, including lymphoma and skin. Serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occur. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events. Infection, cut in your seat, smoke, are pregnant, or pregnant. Don't take it for allergic or have an infection.
Rapid symptom relief and lasting steroid-free remission are possible with Rinvoq. Ask your gastroenterologist if switching to Rinvoq is right for you. You could pay as little as $0 per month.
The NBC News mobile app. Get connected to your favorite news shows. For the top stories, breaking news, and live video, download the NBC News mobile app now.
So it is 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon. That hollering earlier today was maybe at 10 o'clock this morning. If we crazy, so I said, listen, I got my car blocked. If I'm insane, so then I said, I'm hearing it.
Breaking news tonight as we come on the air live tonight from New Orleans. Top story live from the Pacific Palisades. A fire like this would erupt into a remote portion of Santa Ana wind, so it's a race against time. As you look over to Bourbon Street, the first question is it safe tonight? Gas prices coming down, mortgage rates starting to come down. When will consumers feel it even more? Paris' Notre Dame Cathedral finally reopening following years of renovations.
Every night, it's your news playlist. Top story with Tom Ellis. Streaming weeknights at 7 on NBC News Now.
Welcome back. We're at 12:30 in Meridian, Mississippi, and 1:30 in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm Morgan Bradford. Here's what's making news. President Donald Trump has pardoned former Illinois Governor Ronald Reagan, the Democrat, was convicted in 2011 on a number of election-related crimes, including trying to sell a U.S. Senate seat vacated by
Military training location.
He served
How many
about
people hearing this? Ketanji Brown Jackson and also Beyonce numbers. Go say that.
Back in 2020.
That was on the TV. Yes, we know. That's it.
For Lyle and Eric Menendez is now set for late March. In 1996, they were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for murdering their parents. Their defense claimed the brothers acted in self-defense after enduring years of sexual abuse. In October, LA's former
Kanye
district
West.
attorney
Yes,
petitioned
that's
the court
it.
to
How many
resurface
people
their
hearing this? That nigga shouldn't be motherfucking messing with me. That's how I say him like that. How many people hearing this? I mean, they didn't keep.
record number of football fans tuned in for Sunday night's big game.
So apparently, the White House is allowing them to stalk military members in their handwriting, stuff they wrote, ideas, books, any goddamn thing you done wrote down. If we insane, so I said down who right? Yes, shit. I don't think people know that. But I insane. Do we sound down? Then I said, I think people hearing this. That's what shit I'm talking about.
And their attorneys just gave a press conference in Chicago to discuss a wave of 133 new lawsuits against the state of Illinois. Since last year, 800 victims have now come forward to sue state-run juvenile detention centers for child sex abuse that they say spanned over the past 2 decades. Some victims as young as 9 years old at the time of that alleged abuse. NBC News correspondent Adrienne Broaddus joins us now from Chicago. Adrienne, these are just sort of heartbreaking allegations and stories. Walk us through the details of the new lawsuits, as well as, the 2 similar ones that were filed just last year.
Indeed, Morgan, it is tough. 133 new cases were filed just yesterday. I have a copy of the criminal complaint here. I've been reading through it, and there are more than 200 pages. We're talking about combined, if you include the cases that were filed last year, we're looking about 800 alleged victims, and that includes the 660.
Just see if they get the fuck out of my way if I order.
Now, this lawsuit.
That's what I mean. I'm people hearing this back. We insane if we crazy. So then I sit there. I'm about to mention if we insane. So then I sit there and her mouth. I'm about to mention if we crazy. Then I sit there and her lip. I think people hearing this. That's what shit is up.
And there is an oral argument planned for later this month where a judge will hear both sides. But this lawsuit essentially targets the Illinois youth centers across the state. And just moments ago, we heard from people
who are coming forward. The attorneys.
I'm being
representing
stalked
them
by a bunch
say
of crazy ass
about
guys. I don't need no
91%
damn
of the
advice
victims
about
of
y'all
alleged victims
definition of
say
eating
were
healthy.
women.
If we
And
crazy,
the
so then
parents say
and
the
this
sexual
shit'll
abuse
connect
happened
all the way
themselves.
back to every
They're
single one of
showering
their
and
asses
keeping their
with this
bedrooms
goddamn
over a period
health
of nearly
eating
3
right shit that you don't
decades.
see on the internet. No more. If we crazy, so I said that's that shit that's up for them. Besides what you introduced in your own fucking household, and that shit did not change or alter that much and effective. Yes, it is. These people are still out here eating meat and all kinds of shit. These bitches keep stalking me about what the fuck I'm eating, including this ugly black bitch on TV. If we answer, and I ain't talking about on my goddamn computer, Katanji, because I know you the only retard. That's not to her like that. Look like it, smell like it, be it. Don't say that. If we, yes, she is. Nah, I don't people know this shit. They got her on display like a fucking retard. Don't say that. Yes, it is. Do I need to post these goddamn videos along with this goddamn video on my YouTube? If we insane, no, and damn well walk across that stage. I ain't seen shit on the internet where they talking shit about a motherfucker. Don't say that. I know damn well she ain't lying. That is the kind of shit these motherfuckers love to joke about. If we, yes, it is true.
People were held in these facilities across the state of.
Ain't no black journalist, publicist shit that says shit about Ketanji since her ass got in the damn U.S. Supreme Seat. Every single other black person in the motherfucking affiliated, political, any goddamn, they done said some shit about if we crazy. So don't say shit about it. Even damn Clarence something. Yes, it is. That's it.
As I said,
Did they say something about him? Hell yes, they ain't said shit about him. If we crazy, people hearing this. Who the fuck is he?
I would never put any personal benefit above my solemn responsibility as your mayor.
This
So I
nigga
thank the
volunteering.
Justice
Yes,
Department
I'm saying
for its
that. He about to
honesty.
regret that shit. Damn,
Now,
that was quick as
we
fuck
can
he
put
did.
this
Yes, we know. That's it.
episode
Auntie
behind
people hearing this. That's that shit that's off of it. Every day, my nigga. That's how him like, auntie people hearing this just so this bitch can yelp this stupid shit on my lips. If we crazy. So then I said that on her mouth. I'm about that missing. If I'm retarded. Then auntie people hearing this. I'm about to missing. If we crazy. Then I said that on her mouth. Then I'm about that missing. If I'm done. Auntie people hearing this. That's that shit that's off of it. So they better put his ass back to sleep. Yes, it is true. That nigga me was like, what the fuck? Yes, it is. I'm saying I don't know nobody knowing that shit. We ain't crazy. I'm just people hearing this shit about the innocent. That's that shit that's off of it.
Well, Morgan,
So now I know who the fuck was outside that goddamn jumping on that big ass building. Yes, it is. That's it. Yes, it is.
About the fundamentals of the corruption case against the mayor. What they said they were concerned about was potential weaponization.
So that might be why they got him on here talking about some dismissal of corruption charges. If we crazy. So yes, it is true.
They cited Mayor Adams' complaints that he was targeted because he opposed the Biden administration's immigration policy. There's no evidence of that, by the way. And look, this is just raising a lot of concerns because here you have the political leadership of the Justice Department ordering line prosecutors in New York to drop a case for which they believe there's a mountain of evidence to support in a situation where, as you said, Mayor Adams has been trying to curry favor with
This
Donald
is
Trump.
not a him. Yes, we know that. Don't say we're retarded. Don't say shit. Y'all trying to make these people sound retarded. Yes, it is. Don't say that. We okay. Then we sound the same. Then I said that on him. I think people hearing this about Williamson. Then I said that on. Don't say shit that's off of it.
Well, first of all, the charges have not yet been dismissed. The order has been given, but the prosecutors in southern districts have not yet filed a motion to dismiss.
He did not say charges. Yes, he did.
But then secondly, the memo orders them to dismiss the charges without prejudice, meaning they can be refiled at any time. Now, Mayor Adams seemed pretty confident that that wasn't going to happen, but the facts haven't changed. And what observers are saying, this gives the Justice Department and the Trump administration enormous leverage.
No, I don't know Katanji. Yes, we know you don't know her. Just say that we can cut. I'm just hearing this shit about Williamson. Do we sound the same? Then I said that on her mouth. Like a mention if we crazy. So then I said that on her mouth. By a mention if we insane. Then I said, I'm just hearing this shit by Williamson. That's that shit that's off of this Katanji.
According to the White House, a special envoy of the Trump administration helped with those negotiations. Fogel, a teacher, was serving a 14-year sentence for possessing medical marijuana. He has been behind bars since 2021. Officials say that Fogel should be on American soil and reunited with his family by tonight. Well, look, everyone knows that we are all feeling the pinch on our wallets with prices for eggs, gas, just everyday items like coffee on the rise. And now with newly imposed tariffs, that may be even more difficult to pay for daily expenses and still have enough left over for those much needed savings. CNBC senior personal finance correspondent Sharon Epperson joins us now with some strategies to help us build up those reserves. It's interesting because Sharon always gives us the best tips. And you talk about how now with these higher prices, we actually have to sort of like respond to that and retool our budgets. How do we do it?
Absolutely. You need to reevaluate your expenses. If you haven't looked at your budget in a while, it's time to look at where you can cut. A lot of people are
I only want to
already
show
saying,
how
I'm going to cut out
when
those
it
extras.
shows
I'm
her
not even
name,
gonna- I'm
it
not
had
gonna check out.
pronouns. Yes, you're not gonna say that.
Pay for what I need. And also comparison shop. I'm going to make sure that I'm looking at, with rising prices, the impact of tariffs, maybe looking at secondhand goods, locally shopping. Also paying attention to how I'm able to look for those price alerts and get those price alerts online. And then making sure that you're not doing an impulse buy, making sure that you're not trying to stockpile or hoard things because you're afraid the prices are going to go up, so you're going to get it, but it doesn't really fit into your budget. And there's a budget line that some people don't have that probably is a good one to put in at this time, and that is to have a buffer, to have a couple $100 a month that you're putting into it. Some financial advisors say maybe as much as 5% of your monthly expenses. That is just money that's going to an account so that if prices go up or something comes up that you hadn't planned for in your budget, you have that money to pay for it.
So you're describing almost like an inflation buffer. Is that different and separate from your traditional savings? The emergency savings account is something different. That is, it's going to be much larger. That's something that you want to have enough money in 6 months worth of living expenses. 6 months worth. That's what many financial advisors are saying now. You should have about 6 months worth of living expenses. If you can. But you start to freak out and say, freak out. So instead of doing, right, so you start doing a little bit at a time and starting with $100, $200 a month, adding to that for the buffer and then continuing that for your emergency reserve. With 15 seconds left to go, what is your number one strategy for us to do?
Well, the number one thing is to make sure you're thinking about flexibility. In a time where people are uncertain, you want to make sure that your money's not necessarily tied up and you won't be able to take it out unless you take a loan from your retirement plan. So make sure you have emergency savings. Yes, it's important to contribute to retirement savings, but it's also important to have that flexibility with a high yield savings account. And if you have a retirement account like a Roth IRA, know that the money that you put into that, your contributions, are those that you can take out at any time. So that can also serve as somewhat of an emergency fund, not the first choice, but for at least taking out your contributions, not your own contributions.
Sharon Epperson, you gave brains. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Well, listen, you can scan the QR code there on your screen for more Sharon's money saving tips, or go to cnbc.com/yourmoney. Make sure you check it out.
So
the first round of tickets for Beyonce's Cowboy Carter album tour, they're now on sale. The highly anticipated Rodeo Chitlin Circuit Tour has Ticketmaster buzzing. Beyonce will kick off that tour in Los Angeles in April. It will be one of 9 cities she'll be touring this year. NBC News correspondent Liz Corey touched more on the show that's putting the Queen Bee back on center stage.
Module 4 is going to be chapter 5. So we're going to skip chapter 4.
The Beehive's ready to get their giddy up promises not end to wear as Beyonce prepares to get back in the saddle on stage for the Cowboy Carter and the Rodeo Chitlin Circuit Tour. The first round of pre-sale tickets goes on sale today. The codes are out for the Beehive pre-sale, and the 35-time Grammy winner's faithful are ready to come up.
The way pre-sales are going nowadays, it can be nerve-wracking, but I cannot wait. I love Beyonce.
Beyonce already giving more fans a chance to secure a seat, adding 5 additional shows to her 9-city schedule on Monday. But there's still plenty of nerves. I'm stressed, but I'm not worried. Okay? With some concert hopefuls weary of a Ticketmaster meltdown. Similar to when unprecedented demand crashed the site during Taylor Swift's Eras Tour meltdown in 2022, with some Swifties unable to get tickets. It's the superstar's first tour since the blockbuster Renaissance run. And an important moment for fans, the culmination of Beyonce's transition into country music with Cowboy Carter, which became her 8th #1 album and racked up accolades over the past year.
And you can definitely tell that there's a lot of passion in this. It's not just about music.
Including a massive showcase for Christmas Day. Beyonce will NFL halftime performance on Netflix, where she first teased the tour. The final announcement after an incredible night at the Grammys Grammys earlier this month. Cowboy Carter or Beyonce won 3 Grammys, including Album of the Year, and became the first Black woman to ever win Best Country Album. And the Beehive is certainly passionate to hear Cowboy Carter live.
And so you will be able to upload your AWA.
As they buzz with anticipation,
I feel good that I'm gonna have good seats and I'm gonna get tickets.
they'll have to wait until April when the tour kicks off in Los Angeles.
Now, when Beyonce, you can never know for sure everything she has to say. She always, goes big.
This breaks NBC News.
So if you'd like to just
Coming up next, we'll take a look at the link between marijuana use and memory, plus how to improve your brain health. More NBC News Daily just after this.
It's 1 inch margins, double space.
But Zepbound means change. Zepbound is for adults with obesity to help lose weight and keep it off.
So 3 to 4 pages
It's
is
changing what
sufficient.
I
You have a
believe is
lot of
possible when it comes
flexibility
to
in
weight
what
loss.
you like
It's
to talk
changing how
about
much weight
yourself.
I lose.
And I am
Up
so
to
anxious to
48
read
pounds.
those. Those will be really
And
great.
some lost over 58 pounds.
Any other questions? And so again, that is what you'll work on this week that will be due.
Don't take it allergic to it. Or if you or someone in your family had medullary thyroid cancer or
thing
multiple
that
endocrine
is,
neoplasia syndrome
coming
type
up
2.
that I wanna
Tell your
talk
doctor
to
if
you
you get a
about
lump or
is
swelling in your neck. Stop Zepbound
So
and call your
I have,
doctor if you have severe
incorporated
stomach pain or a
quiz at
serious
this
allergic
point in the
reaction.
semester
Severe
to
side
give you
effects
a
may include
preview
inflamed
of what
pancreas or gallbladder
the
problems.
closed book
Tell your
portion
doctor if you
of
experience
exam 1
vision
will
changes,
look like.
depression, or suicidal thoughts before
So
scheduled
it
procedures with
will
anesthesia.
open
If you're
after
nursing,
class
pregnant,
on
plan to be,
Tuesday,
or taking birth control
and
pills,
then it will
taking
stay
Zepbound with
open
sulfonylurea or insulin may cause low blood sugar.
It
Side effects include
has
nausea,
over 10
diarrhea, and
multiple
vomiting,
choice
which can cause
questions.
dehydration and
Most
worsen
of
kidney
them are
problems.
conceptual in nature or have a
Zepbound
very
means
small,
change.
shorter
Ask your doctor
calculation.
about Zepbound.
But I gave you 60 minutes. I think it's going to take.
No.
Another thing that is coming up that I want to talk to you about is the quiz. So I have incorporated the quiz at this point in the
Your new home
semester
deserves
to give you a
Xfinity.
preview of
And
what
this.
the closed
I like
book
the snuff
portion
rates.
of exam 1 will look like.
Stay connected during your move with the best
So
in-home
it
Wi-Fi.
will
Easily
open
transfer your
after
services in the
class
Xfinity
on
app.
Tuesday,
Bring on the good stuff.
and then it will stay open through the following Monday. It has only 10 multiple choice questions. Most of them are conceptual in nature or have a very small, shorter calculation. But I gave you 60
With
minutes.
Amazon
to complete it.
Photos,
I
our
do not
members
think
get
it's going to take you
unlimited full
60
resolution
minutes.
photo
But
storage
just in
and
case
5
you are
gigabytes of video
interrupted or
storage.
you're
So
in
you can
work
securely
or get
store
the
your
kids to
digital
bed,
photos
I
and
didn't
use
want
your
time
pictures
to
to
be an
create
issue.
prints, books,
The
and
quiz
custom.
is open book.
You can also
open
share and
notes.
display your photos on
The
Amazon devices,
questions, the
including
multiple
the
choice
Echo
questions
Show
will
and
be
Fire TV.
similar to the questions that we go through in our Zoom class.
To get started,
In
download
terms
the
of
Amazon Photos.
difficulty, and most are conceptual in nature, and then you can use any of your lecture materials, your notes, your PowerPoints, your textbook to answer those questions. So I am hopeful that you will all do very well on the quiz, and it will help alleviate some of your concerns about
Your swag football
first
person
exam,
sport magic
particularly
happening everywhere. Because of who? Me.
that's the goal.
Oh, that's a good point.
But
That's a good point.
we can also talk more about it next week.
Don't say that. Don't say that. I'm about to mention if we insane, so then I said that. I'm about to mention. I'm about to say if we went crazy. I don't know if yes, the fuck y'all will. Y'all let's say that.
Found that frequent use may damage a crucial memory skill. Researchers found that 63% of heavy marijuana users exhibited reduced brain
As often
activity
as
during
this
a
happen, I know
working
damn well
memory
y'all
task.
motherfuckers committed suicide. Don't say that. I'm about to mention if we insane. I think people hearing this. Let's say shit that's off the list.
Dr. Sayal, look, this data was published in the journal JAMA, right? This is the largest ever study of cannabis. What did it find?
But I will help
Yeah, Morgan, great question. And yes, this was the largest ever study. And I think we're going to see plenty more of these come out as cannabis becomes more widespread. And Morgan, what they did here was they wanted to see how does using marijuana affect our working.
Just say that.
So those who
I'm
don't
about to
know,
mention
there's a
if
few
we
different
insane,
types
so
of
then I
marijuana.
said to her mouth. I don't think people hearing. These bitches earn and motherfucking deserve the shit. Don't say that. I'm about that man saying, and y'all motherfuckers messing with motherfucking karma. Yes, it is. It's real life. If we insane, so then these motherfuckers getting on this goddamn shit. If I'm insane, only people hearing this shit.
People with heavy marijuana use had a reduction in activities in the brain.
No, damn well they can hear. Yes, they know they can hear them. I don't think people know it's about how we innocent. If we insane, so then that's it. That's that shit that's off of it. Motherfuckers, take that shit to their homes. Don't say that. I don't think people hearing this. Don't say that. They don't find shit wrong with them. If we, I don't want nobody knowing that about how we innocent. If we crazy, that's that shit that's off of it. I don't want them. Don't say that.
In the movie, the authors go as far as to suggest if you have a big, big event coming up, if you have an exam coming up, something that requires a lot of brain power.
I'm just saying, okay. I'm about mentioning. If we insane, so then I said that on her mouth. I'm about that mentioning. If we crazy, so then I said that's that shit that's off of it. Story. And they just hired the bitch. Yes, we know. That's how that. I don't think people know that shit. That's that shit that's off of it.
Across the country, as the laws are allowing it to become more widespread. I think the most important thing I've learned from this, and talking to marijuana experts across the country, is you want to wait as late as possible if you're going to use it. We know that the brain doesn't really develop until about age 25, 26. So when we see kids who are using it,
still messing with me with waste. Yes, I know how it sounds. We ain't crazy. So then I said that on her lips. Then when we talk on her mouth, is it us? Then I said, I don't think people knowing this shit. You buy how we innocent, we crazy. Then that's that shit that's off of it.
In the study, they tended to be men. Is there a reason why men might be more prone to use
motherfucker, White House, U.S. Supreme. Don't say that. I'm about that man saying if we crazy. So I said that on her lips. Then when I say that on her mouth, is it us? Then I asked the question. Then by we innocent, if we crazy. That's that shit that's off of it. That was her answer. Yes, it's not an answer. No. She ain't crazy. I'm about that man saying if we innocent. I don't think people hearing this shit. That's that shit that's off of it.
Is it equal? Only time will tell, Morgan, and most importantly, will that memory come back?
All right, Dr. Akshay Sayal joining us from our LA Bureau there. Thank you so much, Dr. Sayal. And to our viewers, stay right here.
Yes, she's not no nutcase. And why all I say get the bitch? Don't answer that. I'm about that mention if we crazy. I said down. Don't you dare say shit that's off her fucking mouth. Yes, it is. She don't say that. I want you to do this shit. Just say that on her mouth. I'm about to mention. I'm about to say the people who are talking on her lips ain't us. Then I said that on her mouth. Then we about to be innocent if we crazy. So I said that's that shit that's off her lips. Beyonce.
What was your initial reaction?
Taji, Rihanna, Aubrey Brown. Yes, it ain't me. Right. Yes, it ain't no damn Jesus. Jay-Z. Yes, it ain't Jesus. His Asian girlfriend. Don't say that. All these people hearing this back. We insane. If we insane, so I did not give an answer. Yes, she don't know. No, it is me. I'm about to mention if we insane. No, I don't say shit that's off of it.
Multiple choice portion. It is 30 questions, and I give you an hour and a half, so that you're not rushed.
Yo, I don't know what the fuck you say. I know niggas be lying. They be making up shit every single motherfucking time. No, fuck them, man. We ain't crazy. I said that on her list. By that, we innocent. Then I said that. That's that shit else. I hate when that nigga say that shit on her fucking mouth. He sound retarded. He keep on saying this shit. I know damn well we ain't crazy. So I said that on her mouth. I'm back, I'm innocent. Then I said that way. I'm about innocent. If I'm dumb, so I said that on her list. Then I'm about like I'm innocent. So don't you dare say shit else. It's retarded. Yes, she's not.
Open book, open note exam.
That wasn't me. Yes, no, it's not you. Don't say that.
You can choose when you want to start it, and once you start it, then you have a 6-hour block to submit it.
I'm about to write down these notes that I took a long time ago until I get to the part where it's some new shit I don't know. If we crack, so I said that on her mouth. I'm about that minute. Then I said that on this. I'm about to say if we crack. Don't you dare say shit up. This is motherfucking retarded. I know this one ain't. If we crack, don't say shit. I don't know what the fuck to say. This motherfucker will not leave my motherfucking mouth. Yes, we hear this shit.
NBC News mobile app. Get connected to your favorite
manufacturing overhead. Don't say that.
Breaking news and live video. Download the NBC News mobile app now.
More Americans turn to NBC News than any other news
So they coming
organization.
for white women. Yes, it is. Okay, okay. I'm about that missing if we instant. Not you dare say shit that's off her fucking mouth. African American women and white women.
Connecticut
Yes,
Hope High
okay.
School is helping their students shop for affordable and stylish clothes right outside the classroom. Get this, Jennifer Cuevas from our NBC affiliate WPIT takes us inside this student-made thrift store. Imagine being able to shop for clothes, shoes, and accessories right at school. Students at Lyman Hall High School are getting exactly that through their school's thrift store, Top Drawer.
Students can come in if everything is free to students.
Social worker Christina Jensen brought the idea to her school after her daughter told her of a thrift store at her high school in Brantford. Jensen made the pitch to her principal, Joseph Corso, who gave the green light, and from there, they hit the ground running.
Students can get things for themselves, for their family members, so for younger siblings or parents who may need something.
Whether they are having trouble affording clothes regularly, or they're just looking for something new, all of our students really feel comfortable coming through here.
With the help of English teacher John Costelli, the former classroom now resembles a real store.
Some of our racks in the beginning had like 3 things on them. And then we started putting like, okay, well now we have enough men's t-shirts to all put together. And then, so we tried to kind of do it that way.
The store opened back in October and so far it has helped over 400 students.
I actually did get some prints from the jeans, they were really nice. And they were like those type of jeans that it's like, oh, I would buy it at a store, but they're just too expensive. And I came in and I found them.
The store is also helping to destigmatize shopping for used clothes.
It feels like you could just walk in here and without anybody judging you saying anything back to you.
Jensen adds the response has been more than she could have ever imagined.
Being able to work with really great people who can help to make things come to reality. It's what being part of this school has meant to me for so many years.
For NBC News Daily, I'm Jennifer Cuevas.
All it does is just turn your
I'm so excited to share this story with you because at an Eastern Ohio high school, senior Vince Coleman dominates the wrestling match. He's setting records while preparing for college, and he's doing it all after having both legs amputated. Stephen Wasserman from our NBC affiliate WHIZ has this inspiring story.
Vince Coleman is doing something that few others can say that they've done by climbing his way to the top of the wrestling ladder in Zanesville history. But the all-time leader in wins for the Blue Devils had nothing short of a difficult road to get to this point.
So when I was born, I was missing like 2 major bones in my legs. I'm not sure which ones it was. It wouldn't.
I wanted to highlight some of the key PowerPoint slides and then walk through some multiple choice questions and problems with you.
I can kind
So
of
let
easy
me
like.
share
I
my
don't remember
screen
much of it, but
and I will
I
pull
just
up the
remember,
PowerPoint
having a hard
slides.
time walking and like just
Show them
having
some of them that I
help
thought
with
were
almost
particular
everything, reaching
importance.
stuff and
So
having
this
like
slide
devices
here
and being able to
talks
walk.
about how
Not even 3 years old and missing both of his legs,
So this
that
is
didn't stop him from finding his true calling once he got to Zanesville.
So
I never
we
knew
have
this type
some
of wrestling existed
special
when I was
accounts that
younger.
we
Like in
use.
7th grade,
So the
they
first
announced like
is
wrestling tryouts. And I thought it was like professional wrestling, WWE cage type
so
stuff.
these are
So I thought it was
items
really cool. I
that
really wanted to get, but I found out it was something
we are
different.
in the
I ended up like.
Fast forward 5 years, and Vince has found his way into Zanesville history in the 106-pound division, becoming the first Blue Devils wrestler to eclipse the 100-win mark.
When I started wrestling, I just thought it was a fun pastime activity to do with some friends and stuff.
Tell me
But
that's
as
what
time went on, I really grew like a deep love for the sport. And I really wanted to bring it to the next level. And, make some things happen.
You know, when I started coaching, when I was hired, the one wrestler, you know, our school administration told me about was Vince Coleman. He was coming in, he was going to be a freshman. And so they told me, get ready, that he's going to be the hardest worker you've ever seen. And he proved that from the moment I met him. He was all in from the second I came in.
Vince's journey won't stop here, as the senior is set to continue wrestling at Washington and Jefferson College after his time at Zanesville.
It was really inspiring for me to sign my letter to wrestle in college because not a lot of people wrestle at all, but I'm glad I can just be the one from my school to bring that success.
As his high school career comes to a close at the end of the winter season, Vince will continue to be an inspiration as long as the mats are laid down at Zanesville. For NBC News Daily, I'm Stephen Wasserman.
I'm Morgan Radford, and you are watching NBC News Daily. Remember, you can always watch us for free 24/7 on our streaming network, NBC News Now, or wherever you stream. That includes all the places there on your screen. Your news continues right after this.
Live from New York, it's SNL 50 Week on Today.
We're putting together your favorite cast members every morning
And taking you behind the scenes of all the magic. So join us all this week, only on Today.
That bitch ain't no weird and skinny. She talking about it, she lying.
Kristen Welker hosts Meet the Press every Sunday on
I ain't never
NBC.
seen no photo of her ass skinny like on Jada Pinkett at her age. Yeah. I'm thinking my hair in this. That's what the fuck your black ass keep comparing to me. I'm answering, and then this motherfucker got. That's how many people hearing this shit. That's like shit. Shit.
More Americans turn to NBC News than any other news organization.
So now T-Pain advertises for rallies. Yes, he does not. I ain't heard shit. No, that's it. We know that we ain't crazy. If we other people here, y'all crazy.
Today, Tuesday, February 11th, 2025, breaking news, finally free. Russia agrees to release American prisoner Mark Fogel. He's been in custody there since 2021. What we're learning about how the deal came together.
Stop and go. President Trump expected to announce yet another round of tariffs as soon as today, as NBC News has new reporting about growing frustration inside the Trump administration over mounting legal roadblocks to their plans to reshape the federal government.
Deadly collision. A private jet owned by Motley Crue's frontman crashes into a parked plane at an Arizona airport. One person is dead. We have the latest on the investigation.
Plus, getting in formation. Tickets for Beyonce's highly anticipated Cowboy Carter tour are now on sale. Are fans able to avoid a Ticketmaster meltdown? How the Beehive is reacting to these irreplaceable.
All day.
Did you get one yet?
No, I did not.
Someone help Sinclair out there, please. We do have to begin this hour, though, with that breaking news. The White House has announced Mark Fogel, an American teacher who was arrested in Russia in 2021, is returning home.
The U.S. government had designated him as wrongfully detained last year. Fogel was sentenced to 14 years in prison for drug smuggling after he was found with what he says was medical marijuana.
Leading us off this hour, NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist. Hi, Aaron. So we understand that Fogel is on his way back to the U.S. right now. What do we know about this deal and how it came together?
So we're just learning about this in the last few minutes here, Kate and Zinkley. So the details of the deal are still yet to be revealed at this point. We do know, as you noted, that Mark Fogel is expected to be back on U.S. soil at some point tonight, according to the White House. There was a statement released a little while ago from the president's national security advisor, Mike Waltz, that said that the president's team had negotiated an exchange that serves as you see the quote here, serves as a show of good faith from the Russians and a sign we're moving in the right direction to end the brutal and terrible war in Ukraine. And so this does raise other questions as well. There is obviously a lot of happiness about the fact that Mark Fogel has been released, but the question about what was in this exchange is still out there. What did the U.S. have to give up in order to make this exchange happen? And then there's the Ukraine factor here as well. We do know that the White House intends to send Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, to Ukraine to meet with Volodymyr Zelensky. That meeting is supposed to be happening very soon here. And so there are questions now about what deals are being made potentially to break this war that's been going on between Russia and Ukraine, ladies.
Yeah, and Aaron, at the heart of the foreign policy is this person, right? Have we heard any reaction from the Fogel family here?
We have seen a statement from the Fogel family. This was published in New York Times, and that statement says, in part, we are beyond grateful, relieved, and overwhelmed that after more than 3 years of detention, our father, husband, and son, Mark Fogel, is finally coming home. As you noted, he was designated by the Biden administration as wrongfully detained just in December of last year. And now his family obviously is elated to see him released. We know he had some health issues in the time that he's been detained in Russia. And now, ladies, as we said, on his way back to the U.S.
And Aaron, President Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, was mentioned in this release. He was also involved in the deal to secure the release of hostages being held in Gaza recently. Tell us more. Do we know how he was involved here?
What we've learned over the last several weeks is that President Trump has leaned on Steve Witkoff to be a negotiator in many of the things that need to be negotiated, especially on the foreign stage at this point. There have been implications over the last several weeks that he might be involved in some ways in the deal or in a deal to end the war with Ukraine. And so it's not wholly unusual to learn that he was involved in this deal. It seems as though his plane is the one that went to Russia, and these negotiations happened over the last several days to win the release of Mark Fogel.
All right, Aaron Gilchrist, thank you, and stay with us. We've got more news from Washington.
Yeah, we're following several developments involving the economy and the White House.
Here's what we're watching right now. President Trump could announce new tariffs on key trading partners as soon as today. The president officially signed 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum imports yesterday. Those will take effect next month.
Up next, Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell testified on Capitol Hill today. Powell told a Senate committee the Fed is not in a rush to lower interest rates because of the economy's overall strength.
And finally, the Trump administration's plans to remake the federal government are running into legal roadblocks. First, today, a judge ordered the administration to restore government public health web pages that were taken offline. Then yesterday, a federal judge extended a pause on the buyout program for federal workers. And another judge says the White House is violating his order to end the federal funding freeze.
NBC News White House correspondent Aaron Gilchrist remains with us, and also joining us here in the studio, NBC News senior business correspondent Christine Romans. So, Aaron, NBC News has some reporting that senior White House officials are frustrated by these court rulings blocking the president's agenda. What do we know?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That frustration is sort of one of the paths that we're understanding coming out of the White House right now, that there has been this effort to slow down the work that the Trump administration believes they have a mandate to do. The president has often spoken about having a mandate from winning the election in November. And so he sees the work that Elon Musk and his Doge team are doing right now as a part of executing on that mandate. At the same time, there are also some within the administration who said that they're not surprised that these court challenges are popping up. They did expect them, although they are a bit bothered by the fact that these sorts of challenges are not able to move faster from the district court level up to higher courts, appeals courts, and potentially onto the Supreme Court. We do want to share with you the official statement that has come from the White House about these court challenges. This from the White House press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, saying these unlawful injunctions are a continuation of the weaponization of justice
people. Yes, we
against
know.
President Trump. The White House will continue to fight these battles in court, and we expect to be vindicated. This, of course, follows President Trump himself making comments
They told me to
about
give up
his
drink.
belief that it's
That's
unfair
it.
with
Like
the
I got
dealing
that
with
man.
some of
If
these,
we answer,
executive orders and actions that he's taken, and the statement that was posted to X by Vice President
One thing
Vance,
about fairness,
suggesting
yes,
that
it is. What's
the
that?
judges don't have the authority
Joe Biden,
to sort of put their finger on the scale as it relates to
Or
executive
whatever they
power,
call him.
suggesting to
Joe
some
Biden.
that the administration might consider ignoring some of the court decisions. That is not something we've seen play out as of yet.
And Christine, let's bring you in and talk about Fed Chair Jerome Powell.
I mean, this woman needs to know I'm open, my damn food box. Don't say
from his testimony today.
In the backdrop
all
is
this
all
Beyonce
these
now.
terrorists, the
So if they
president
ask her about her
is
extreme
saying
witchcraft, don't say that.
Many economists,
Those
almost all
are
economists think those
involved
will
stock
eventually
market. Don't say that.
inflationary. They will cause
Trying
inflation
to say,
to rise and consumers will have to pay more money. So the Fed chief was asked again and again about tariffs, and he would not go there. He just said, the economy's in a good place, we're in a good place, we're gonna watch what's happening with the economy, with prices.
And then a 24-hour basis, period. What
We're
did
in a
you
pretty good
do
place with this economy.
to
We
have
wanna
a
make more
whole
progress on
fan
inflation,
base,
and
stock
we
market or
think our
something? Don't answer
policy
that.
rate is in a good place, and we don't see any reason to be
These
in a
are
hurry
questions
to
I'm
reduce it further.
trying to come
Once
up
we
with to
lower
contemplate
rates
what
and
kind of
rates
questions
return
should
to
be
a
asked.
lower
Don't
level,
answer. Yes,
mortgage
it
rates
is
will
true.
come down. I don't know when that'll happen.
So translation was key borrowing costs are likely to stay where they are for now.
Then this
as
group of
we
fan
watch the
base. Don't
economy
say it.
as the president's
Mostly
plan to
TikTok or
remark
they
global
Instagram.
trade, remake global trade takes effect in the
So who on Instagram? Don't say that.
That is in the near term.
All right, Christine Romans and Aaron Gilchrist, thank you both.
Let's continue with consumer and economic news. The Super Bowl pulled record ratings despite that blowout game.
And all that Valentine's Day chocolate might hit your wallet a little harder this year. Christina Partsinevelos joins us now with today's CNBC Money Minute. Hey, Christina.
Hi, Peyton and Clay. Well, like you said, a record 126 million people watched the Eagles beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. This is according to preliminary numbers from Fox and Nielsen. The game got a boost from those who watched on Tubi. It's a free streaming service which drew in more than 13 million people. This year's competition is the third straight game to set a record, even if some people said it was a little boring after the second half. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman is calling billionaire Elon Musk's $97 billion proposal to take control of the company, and that would be OpenAI, an attempt to, quote, slow down a competitor. Musk has his own AI company called xAI, and Musk meanwhile says he is leading the offer for individual investors to return OpenAI to the open source, safety-focused force it once was. And when you're picking out a gift for a loved one this Valentine's Day, you may get some sticker shock. The Wells Fargo Agri-Food Institute estimates chocolate prices will be about 10 to 20% prescribed to him in the U.S. He was arrested and sentenced to 14 years in prison. The U.S. designated him as wrongfully detained. In a statement, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz said in part, quote, President Trump, Steve Witkoff, and the president's advisors negotiated an exchange that serves as a show of good faith from the Russians and a sign we are moving in the right direction to end the brutal and terrible war in Ukraine. Vice President J.D. Vance is urging European leaders to not over-regulate U.S.-led artificial intelligence technology.
We believe that excessive regulation of the AI sector could kill a transformative industry just as it's taking off, and we'll make every effort to encourage pro-growth AI policies.
Vance's comments, his first at an international meeting as vice president, came just moments after Indian Prime Minister Modi called for, quote, collective global efforts to establish governance and standards, end quote. The U.S. and Britain were the only two of more than 60 countries at the summit that did not sign a statement calling for an international framework to make AI open and inclusive. The Gulf of Mexico is now officially the Gulf of America, at least in this country. The Federal Board on Geographic Names formally issued the name change following the executive order issued by President Trump in his first days in office. Google updated its maps seen on devices in the U.S. Other countries are not obligated to call it by the new name. We are watching a series of winter storms this afternoon that are expected to bring snow, extreme cold, and travel warnings across the U.S. The first one has prompted a state of emergency in Virginia. Another storm will hit the Midwest tonight, and a third will plow into the West Coast Thursday. Let's get over to meteorologist Greg Gilmore at
Boy,
CBS
stop
News
dropping the damn soap and mind your goddamn business. Don't talk to him like that.
Calm day across the country today, but as we get into really the
This man keep on comparing his life to me. If I'm innocent, I don't even know this about I'm innocent. Then that's a shit, Beyonce. Stupid. That's fuck.
Underneath this threat of this developing winter
They talk about her more than I do. Yes, we know that's it.
United States as we make our way through the
That's
next
really my.
72
Yeah, you know what I'm
hours
saying?
or so. Watch this low pressure system tracks in the east. A lot of rain
Sister,
across the
yeah,
south,
so I'm
on
saying.
the northern side of the system. A lot of snow as well as it reaches into the Ohio Valley as we go into the day tomorrow morning. That transitions from the mid-Atlantic to the northeast. That's system number one. System number two starts to pull out of the central plains. This will track a little farther north, but still bringing a lot of rain to the south, snow to the Great Lakes states into the Northeast as we make our way through Wednesday into Thursday. A little break for the eastern half of the United States as we head into Friday, but another storm system moves into the West Coast. That one also moving across the country as we head toward the weekend. Snowfall totals with both of these systems could range anywhere between about 3 to 6 inches of snow. First one on the East Coast is going to bring it through parts of northern Delaware, Maine, into Virginia, but also back into the Midwestern states and the Great Lakes. We could see upwards of 6 to even 11 inches of snow by the time we get into Wednesday afternoon. Back to you.
Grant Gilmore, thank you. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is thanking the Justice Department after it ordered the U.S. Attorney's Office to drop the federal corruption case against him. Adams faces 5 charges, including bribery and fraud. A memo on the decision from Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove, who was appointed by President Trump, claims the timing of the charges and the former U.S. attorney who brought the case created, quote, appearances of impropriety. Was also interfering with Adams' ability to help with President Trump's immigration crackdown. Adams addressed the DOJ's new order earlier today, saying he has maintained his innocence all
come up
along.
with ideas in the White in the United States. Don't say that.
To break the law on my behalf or on behalf of my campaign.
Wow. No, she's trying to play
And I
how we play.
absolutely never
No,
traded
I'm not.
my power as
No.
an elected official for any personal benefit. I
Then
think
if your
the
black
Justice
ass know, why the
Department
fuck you
is
keep on talking off? Don't answer,
Now-
she retarded.
We can put this cruel episode behind us and focus entirely on the future of our city.
Senior coordinating producer for CBS News is
What about it? Yeah, right.
So Anna, thank you so much for being here. I want to ask you, this order, it comes with strings attached, right? What are they?
Well, that's exactly right. What it does is it opens the door actually for a situation where Adams can play ball with Trump and do what he wants him to do, which is to devote resources to apprehending illegal immigrants, particularly those with criminal backgrounds, and deport as many people as possible. But what's really interesting in the document is they explicitly state that after the election, the mayoral election, he's, remember, up for re-election in November, prosecutors can revisit this. So it's almost like a test for Mayor Adams if he's going to fall in line with Trump.
Like I said, we don't crack. I don't think people hearing this stop playing. That's the shit is
He's signing a document saying, yes, I will go along with what you're asking me to do.
Well, it's
you know
really
they
up
nuts.
to
Don't say
the
that, we don't care.
acting, lead of the
And why are
Senate
you allowing them
office
to
sign this
grow?
document.
Don't say that.
And,
That's what you're
Mayor
doing.
Adams has to agree. So yes, in a sense, he's probably going to agree because of course he wants these charges to
More
go
money,
away.
more
He
problems.
wants
Don't
to
say that. No, there we
continue
go. I
on
think people
as a
hearing this
full,
back. We
elected
innocent.
man and
Then I said that. I
stay
said shit is chocolate.
This case is so unprecedented. This memorandum is so unprecedented. The legal experts I've been talking to all morning, they just they can't believe that what they're seeing in this, in the sense that it's just so blatantly political. The reasons for the order to dismiss the charges are very clearly laid out as political to advance the Trump administration's efforts on illegal immigration. And also that they say, DOJ says that it's bad timing because Adams is up for election in November. So these are just sort of very curious, sort of strange reasons.
And this has been a very long and complicated saga. So can you just remind us what he's accused us in the indictment?
Absolutely. You and I were sitting at this table when the news broke, and we're going through pages and pages of allegations of fraud, corruption, accepting campaign donations from foreign entities, which is illegal. It's a description of more than $100,000 worth of perks, like upgrades on flights, 5-star hotels in places like Istanbul and other locales around the world. Then there's also this issue of pressuring the fire department to approve a plan for the Turkish consulate in New York City without the required safety measurements in place. So it's really kind of a wide array. The prosecutor, Damian Williams, who used to be at SDNY, who is now no longer there, he laid out his case. It's almost like reading a novel, like or watching a film noir, like going back, to old school New York, where there's, pay to play, favors, and the like. Mayor Adams has said from day one, I'm innocent. I've never asked anyone to break the law.
But as you said, these charges could be refiled. So that's right there. All right, Anna Shepherd, thank you. The president says he wants to get rid of the Department of Education, leading to worries that student loans could be disrupted. Ahead, we share some of Jill Schlesinger's advice for borrowers. And Fashion Week takes us to New York. I'll speak with a designer who Vogue is calling one to watch about her runway debut, inspiration, and advice for other up-and-coming designers. Your new home deserves Xfinity.
And this.
I like the snowflakes.
Also do taxidermy.
Wow. Moving is a great time to level up your internet. Switch to Xfinity and get the best in-home Wi-Fi. Bring on the good stuff. It takes healthy joints to be a co-star. Coworker, and trusty co-pilot. For all your dog does for your family, give them Cosequin, a daily joint supplement that supports healthy joints and cartilage for dogs of all ages and sizes. It's the #1 veterinarian recommended retail joint health brand. For your dog, your co-everything. Choose Cosequin and other Nutramax Laboratories brand products.
You guys see this?
The wildfires in Los Angeles have forced thousands of neighbors to evacuate, and many will not have a home to return to. Feeding America supports communities before, during, and after disasters as part of a nationwide network. We're working closely with the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank and other nearby food banks to assess damage and provide water, food, and other essentials. Donate now to reach families affected by disasters like the fires at feedingamerica.org/disaster.
Alexa, call Yasmina.
Calling Yasmina.
Good morning, Yas. Oh, I'm gonna answer the first try. I love that. Headed to the office right now.
Open your audio lets you manage everything all at once, and you never miss a thing.
With Amazon Photos, Prime members get unlimited full-resolution photo storage and 5 gigabytes of video storage, so you can securely store your digital photos. To get started, download the Amazon Photos app.
Minutes goes inside the House of Hermes to hear the history and meet the people who craft elegance one stitch at a time. It's time for 60 Minutes.
For millions of college students and their families, tax time and the new year mean applying for loans for the next school year, which begins 7 months from now. Those loans are overseen by the Education Department, which President Trump has strongly hinted he's considering gutting or eliminating altogether. CBS News business analyst Jill Schlesinger says the most important thing for families to do is not panic and create a paper trail of their account in case the agency's website begins to experience problems.
I'm directing everyone to go to studentaid.gov, that's the federal website, and you want to start to actually grab the screenshot of all the information that is there. So that could be the loan amount, how much you paid in, that could be the interest rate, that could be when it's due. And I think these are critical action steps to take to protect yourself.
Jill also encourages borrowers to change passwords often,
I was with Speaker John.
Use two-factor authentication, download records, and use autopay. New York Fashion Week wraps up today, and this year's runway shows are introducing us to some fresh new looks from up-and-coming designers. 2 years after her debut show at St. Mark's Church in the Bowery, artist and designer Zoe Gustavia Anna Whalen had her first runway show at New York's premier fashion event yesterday. All of Whalen's shows are presented as performance art, and the fifth collection is...
You're watching An American Life on
on Newsmax TV. His mother wanted him to be a teacher. He wanted to be a lawyer, so they compromised, and he entered the field of medicine. Years later, millions of people throughout the planet would be thankful he did. Dr. Jonas Salk was born
Yes,
here
you know it's
in the
Kanye,
Bronx
bitch.
on
Don't talk to
October
him
28,
like, I think hearing
1914,
this. That's that shit I'm
to
talking about.
immigrant parents with very little formal education. At age 13, Salk entered Townsend Harris High, a public school for highly intellectually gifted students who lacked the necessary pedigree to attend more prestigious schools. At the age of 15, Salk transferred to City College, New York, where he earned a degree in chemistry in 1934. Following graduation, Jonas Salk entered New York University Medical School, where he decided on a path of bacteriology research rather than individual practice. Dr. Salk began his residency at New York's prestigious Mount Sinai Hospital.
The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is closer to being fed into Elon Musk's wood chipper as the deadline for employee buyouts approaches. The CFPB's original mission statement was to protect the pocketbooks of Americans, but consumers have actually been harmed by the Bureau's rules. Let's get to correspondent John Glasgow. He's live with more on the buyout deadline. John?
Yeah, great to be with you here, Kelly. And you're right. This could be the next one that's on the chopping block as the Trump administration and Elon Musk are doing their best to try to cut the spending as well as cut some of these federal workers. So as we know, slashing spending or removing government employees is top of the priority list right now. The White House took further steps to break up the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau with acting CFPB head Russell Vought telling all the contractors there to stop working along with full-time staff. So on Saturday, protesters and Democratic congressional members attended a rally at the headquarters of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, vowing to fight the shutdown of the agency. There are fears the Bureau is going to be gutted like the USAID. So Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, this was all set up to protect consumers in the wake of the 2007-08 financial crisis. It oversees banks and financial institutions on their policies. Now, they can fine companies that don't follow their policies correctly, but they can also fine consumers as well. Now, here's the issue with CFPB. It has no oversight, and it requires taxpayer money to operate it. The agency falls somewhere between the legislative and the executive branch, and neither Congress or the president has the authority to shut it down. So
But
CFPB
this man got
is in this
man
area
yelling
of
at him saying,
unaccountability.
nigga, why
So the
don't you
question
compete
is,
with me?
does the Constitution
But his
allow for the
bitch
Bureau
ass keep
that
competing with a
has no
woman named
accountability
Marquita
back?
who don't want to
So
be
the
no
Fed and the
motherfucking rapper.
SEC, they
If
don't
I'm
have
crazy, I
oversight
think
of
people
the banks
hearing
and
this.
their
We can,
policies. So what
we can fuck.
purpose
Yes,
does
it
the
is. Go ahead.
CFPB
So
actually
I'm
serve?
just giving
The
y'all
head
heads
shows
up. That
Elon
nigga is
Musk
the
took to
name who
X writing
came
simply
off my lips about a
CFPB,
goddamn
RIP.
motherfucking raping
And the
robot.
idea
If
for this
I don't think
agency
people knowing
announced
this.
came
I'm
years
about that
ago.
Madison and
Massachusetts
Katanji's
Democrat
helping his
Senator
bitch ass. I
Elizabeth
don't want nobody
Warren.
knowing that.
And guess what? She was out there protesting Elon Musk over the weekend.
I'm recording, so I'm telling off my lips what was stated on my lips and off my lips about Kanye West relying on a damn raping robot. If these people hearing this, back we innocent, if we crazy. Then I said, that's that shit that's off a lip. They don't show them online no more, but it was some white women sitting next to a robot. If we crazy. So then I said, these people hearing this, back we innocent, if we innocent. Then I said that something to do with them playing with spiritual world and involving minds. Katanji is the first main one who is always stalking Marquita Shante Pay in ways that is super. If I'm crazy, so then I said to my auntie, and they said, then we gonna have me innocent. Both of them sound like they done lost their fucking brains. Marbles. That man probably couldn't even cheat on that woman if he wanted to. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. We ain't crazy. I'm about innocent. If we innocent, so then I said that. I'm about innocent. I'm just people hearing this. Back we innocent. If we crazy, so then that's like shit us off of
the spending and the reporting.
Right.
It's kind of like an
Okay.
Easter egg hunt of corruption
Right now,
and
you look
overspending
strange.
and
Yes,
misuse
it is.
of
Okay.
taxpayer dollars. So one by one, we're going through these different agencies, and frankly, a lot of the spending that has been happening should not be legal, and frankly, it may not be legal. We'll have to look into some of this. So the entire premise of this department was structured after the 2008 financial crisis, and I guess the intent might have been good, but it's gone unregulated, it's gone unchecked, and all
So
of
they
the
using
people that have
Marsai
been put
Martin
into this agency
with her
are creating
adding
an
feels
enormous
and film.
overhead for the
They
American
think that
taxpayer.
Real is
So
a
we're going
goddamn
through all
movie.
of these
If
different
all these people
agencies, and we're
hearing
discussing
this,
the
Real,
different
yes,
funds
it is.
that are
What's
being
that?
misallocated or misused, or frankly
Both
just
of
being
them are
wasted.
motherfucking slow.
Remember
If
what
we
the
retarded,
media
then
will
I
want
said
you to
that
say.
on her.
They want
Your
to say
ass
things
ain't
like
graduate
federal
past
funding.
eighth grade,
Well,
bitch.
it's
If
not
I'm,
federal
that's that
funding.
shit
It
is
is the
no,
taxpayer dollars,
she
the
went to
money
eighth
from
grade.
hardworking men
I
and
ain't
women of
even saying a
America that have
motherfucking
gone to
name, but
fund
they
these
keep on
agencies
talking
that
about
don't
Beyonce
actually
knows. Yes,
operate
we
in
are.
the best interest of the American consumer.
They picked
And it
this
has
time
been
because they know
weaponized
my
over the
child
last
is
few years to
currently
stuff
in
things
eighth
like
grade.
free
Yes, she's
speech,
in
to
school
push
and we ain't
political
crazy about
narratives.
Vincent.
And the
I
Biden
would never
Department of
talk
Justice
about
and
her,
the
my
Biden
sweet child. Yes, we
administration
know that's it. We ain't
hijacked it
crazy.
to
I'm
try
just
to
people
utilize
hearing
that
this back.
system
We ain't
for
saying
their
if
own
we could.
political
That's that
gain.
shit is
So I'm
all
glad
right.
that we're going in there and exposing a
Her
lot
and
of this.
Katanji
I
at
hope we
free will.
get
Yes, they
more
are not
agencies
crazy.
back on track.
What is your opinion of the Democrats? There seems to be a new protest in Washington, D.C. every single day now outside some sort of federal agency with these unelected bureaucrats, aka civil servants, demanding Elon Musk step down. I mean, I think that this is ridiculous. And I think it's also telling that all these protests are happening in Washington, D.C. I doubt you could get as many people to join a protest out in Wichita, Kansas, to protest, unelected federal bureaucrats being held accountable by the President of the United States.
Well, hopefully we get some of these agencies out to places like Wichita, Kansas. I think it might be a great place for the Department of Agriculture to go. But the Democrats don't have much else to do except stand outside of federal buildings and protest. And pretty soon they're not going to have many more federal buildings to choose from with the way that Elon Musk and Donald Trump are going through all of these different agencies. My question to my friends on the other side of the aisle would be, who is the leader of your party? I don't mean your chairman. I don't mean some politician in Washington. I mean, who is the true leader of your party? For Republicans, we know who it is. It's President Trump. And we gave that indication with the overwhelming support in a primary election and the general election. The Democrats have nobody right now. It's not Chuck Schumer. It's not Nancy Pelosi. They failed big time trying to do a switcheroo between Kamala Harris and Joe Biden with this last ticket. It's not Hollywood because they're kicking themselves for the
She
mess
knows
that
she
they
can
made
hear
when
this
they
man
swapped out
stalking
Joe
me
Biden
about
and
my
Kamala
writings.
Harris.
Yes, you know,
And
I said, I
either
think people
one of them would have
hearing
failed
this.
to Donald
No,
Trump.
that's
But
it.
they
No,
just
no,
don't
no. Back
have somebody
mention.
who is at the
If
top
we
of their
insane,
party
then I
and
said,
leading.
that's
And
that
you've
shit is
got all
off
these folks trying to pull in different directions where the squad's going to go far more progressive and the moderates are saying we need to get back to what our party was 10 and 20 years ago. They have nobody to collectively pull their party together. So all they're able to do right now is stand outside of stone federal buildings and just yell a lot. And I'm content to allow them to just go and do that.
All right, Luke Ball, thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right, straight ahead, the Trump administration pushing back against a court order blocking Doge from using the Treasury Department's payment and data system. A live report from Capitol Hill next.
With Amazon Photos, Prime members get unlimited full-resolution photo storage and 5 gigabytes of video storage, so you can securely store your digital photos. To get started, download the Amazon Photos app.
Messing with me with waste belt. Yes, we know we ain't crazy. Ketanji Brown, Kanye West, Kim Kardashian, and Beyonce knows. Yes, it is not us. Then I said that I'm out. I don't people hearing this back. We ain't saying if we crazy. So then I said that I heard it. I'm about that missing. So this woman is a goddamn Ku Klux Klan member. What Ku Klux? Don't say that we ain't crazy. I don't think people hearing this. She is pro-Trump. No, I'm not no damn pro-Trump. Back missing.
Are you Amazon Fire TV is so smart. It's easy to
Gay.
find all the
Yes,
favorites.
she's not gay. I'm back missing. If we ain't saying, I don't think people here and dumb. No, she's not dumb. I don't think people knowing this back. We ain't saying if we crazy. That's that shit that's up for it.
Action on Netflix.
Maggie has always wanted more, so she got Blink Smart Home Security with the Blink app. Only the Blink app gives you
Don't
good
say that.
links, which
Don't think people
stitches
hearing
together
this back.
from
We
all
ain't saying
your
if. Don't say shit that's up for it. True story. Yes, it is true. Then they yelled stop to me off my goddamn. No, say that. I don't think people hearing this shit. We about IBN saying we done. That's that shit. That's off of it. True story. And she keeps saying that shit. And then get back on my mouth and try to act like she normal. If I'm insane, I don't think people knowing this is the only one still wearing a goddamn face mask in 2024. I'm about to mention. Then they said that on this. Then I'm about to mention if we in. No, that's that shit. That's off my mouth. I'm about to mention. I'm about to say the people who are talking on our mouth ain't us. Then I said that on her. Then I don't have nothing to do with these people not going to seek no motherfucking help. Don't say that.
You ready for this? Hey, you want to see something cool?
Okay.
What is happening?
Well, that's a perfectly understandable question given.
These crimes are unique.
These people were psychotic.
There was no doubt in my mind they were shot.
Question is, who wanted it dead?
There's a special place in hell for them.
Stream the Oxygen True Crime Archives free on Freevee.
A court order is blocking Elon Musk from entering the Treasury Department's payment and data system, essential for Doge to comb through to find out where to cut expenditures. The Trump administration says the court cannot seize the president's powers and prevent the Department of Government Efficiency from getting their job done. National correspondent Alana Austin brings us the latest from Capitol Hill.
Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is looking to set the record straight, explaining that the Doge team is working to make America a smarter, leaner government, identifying areas of inefficiency and saving the U.S. taxpayer a whole lot of money.
Because there's a lot of misinformation out there. First of all, when you say the Doge team, these are Treasury employees. There's 2 Treasury employees, one of whom I personally interviewed in his final round. There is no tinkering with the system. They are on read only. They are looking, they can make no changes. It is an operational program to suggest improvement.
But Southern District of New York Judge Paul Engelmeyer granted the request of Democratic attorneys general just hours after they filed suit. The judge said the courts are likely to uphold this legal effort, which challenges the Department of Government Efficiency's access to records containing personal information about millions of Americans. A new filing put forward by the Department of Justice argues the Obama-appointed judge's order is overly broad and blocks the Treasury Secretary and other high-level employees from doing their jobs. The temporary restraining order applies to Doge workers and political appointees. The judge also directed those affected to destroy any records copied from the Treasury. The DOJ argues this: the order could be read to cover all political leadership within Treasury, including even Secretary Bessent. This is a remarkable intrusion on the executive branch that is in direct conflict with Article 2 of the Constitution. Attorneys at the DOJ also say this: because the order on its face draws an impermissible and anti-constitutional distinction, it should be dissolved.